guys and gals, non-binary pals, and the technicolor rainbow in between. This is Modular Media Wrestling Podcast, the last Modular Media Wrestling Podcast for the year of 2019. I am your host, Chris Boingo Ryder Gaston, and with me, as always, and into the future, is my tag team partner,
The Vacuuminator. And folks, I am so excited. It's that special time of the year when it's all coming to a close, and it's time to look back. Later tonight, we're going to have our top wrestling moments of the year, but before that, all across the board, you get a hot shot at Angle, you get a hot shot at Angle, you get a hot shot at Angle, everyone gets a hot shot at Angle to close out the year. Let's do this. I'm legitimately excited. I'm just being a silly face.
Well, I mean, your face is always silly.
That's true.
So how do you want to proceed? NXT, AEW, how do you want to go? Because here's the thing, I didn't watch NXT this week or last week.
Oh, good Lord, man. What are you doing with your life?
Living it.
That's fair. That's entirely fair. Did you watch that there Into the Fire paper?
Nope.
Do you want me to run down it very quickly?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Let's go.
Okay, we'll kick it off with NWA then, because, hey, they began the month with their much-anticipated first pay-per-view back in the real swing of things. Now that they've got Power going, they're going to start having regular pay-per-views again. And the first one was Into the Fire, as the song goes. And it was quite the solid little show. I don't think it was amazing or spectacular. It wasn't super impressive. It did get people talking for a reason we'll get to in a minute. But the show itself was pretty good. It's a pretty good show. So
I've been meaning to go back and watch it. It's just Christmas happened.
I would recommend checking it out, if only to see the entrances, because it's nice to actually see those people get an entrance for once with like music and everything. Colt Cabana, especially, I'd never heard at least what is probably his current theme. I'm sure he's had one or two before. I'd never heard his theme before. It's a fucking banger song. But anyways, we opened up. We met Stu Bennett, who is now with Joe Galli at the commentary desk. And some people were kind of on the fence about whether or not he was a good pick to replace Cornette. And in my opinion, he did a fantastic job. I like his commentary way better than Cornette's. I feel like it fits with Galli a whole lot more. And he just did a really solid job of doing play-by-play for this show. Fantastic introduction to him, and I'm looking forward to getting to watch more shows with him in the future. But our first match of the night was Eli Drake versus Mr. Ken Anderson. This is sort of a little thing they've had going back and forth with sort of a respect your elders, kind of screw you old man type thing that boiled over here in a pretty solid little match. Eli Drake picked up the win, and it's very much we're putting over this younger talent who's definitely got the charisma and is getting over with the audience, and this is just kind of a showcase of him before we can do some bigger and better things with him, and it worked very well as a show opener. Then we had a promo with Nick Aldis and James Storm, which was basically just them putting over the NWA and saying, hey, isn't it great that we have an NWA pay-per-view again? Isn't it awesome that we finally got to this? And it's like, yeah, it is awesome that we got to this. Okay. Then we had Tasha Steelz versus Thunder. I still can't roll my R's. Thunder Rosa.
Rosa.
Yeah, this was a squash match. Thunder Rosa pretty much kicked the crap out of Tasha Steelz, but because we did get her entrance and we did get a couple minutes with her, I enjoyed the introduction to Tasha Steelz. She seems like she could be interesting in the future. So here's hoping she gets to do more stuff with NWA or really any promotion that I'm watching in the future, because I want to get to know her more.
If I may interject real quick, concerning something that happens later, I'd love to see her in like AEW and places like that, because from what you're saying, like all the women I've seen on NWA are just fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, they have a really solid women's division. It has really come up. since they began. Like when they began the first few weeks, I remember we were even saying it felt like an afterthought, like they just got a token match every episode.
Yeah, it felt like old school wrestling in that way.
Yeah, but it's really built into something that actually has a storyline going on and is actually kind of fun. So I'm looking forward to get to seeing more stuff with their women's division in the future. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But next, the question mark and student Aaron Stevens come out. And they're doing this whole bit where Aaron Stevens is kind of like, hey, I'm the chicken shit heel. I keep losing. You're like the hottest thing in the company right now. Teach me your ways. Train me in Mongrovian karate. So Aaron Stevens has been off, not on Power the last couple weeks. He's been training, and here he comes back. The question mark gives him his black belt. He is now a master of Mongrovian karate and is ready to go off and fight his battles again. And to celebrate, they perform the Mongrovian flag ceremony in an excellent callback to that bit where I believe it was Nikolai Volkov who did the Russian flag ceremony and sang the anthem in the ring while people threw trash at him. That was basically what they were trying to do here. The question mark is kind of supposed to be a heel, but he's so over with the audience right now that this was like a huge feel-good segment, even though it was constantly going back and forth between cheers for the question mark and boos for Aaron Stevens. It's such an interesting pairing. Also, look the Mongrovian flag up when you get a second. It's hilarious. But then the question mark had a squash match against Trevor Murdoch. It was pretty fun to see, though. I wish they got a more serious match in the future. I would legitimately like to see them have a proper match. And then Rock and Roll Express took on the Wild Cards for the Tag Team Championships, with them each bringing out another team to be their corner men. I wanted to like this match. I was kind of excited for it, but because there were so many bodies involved, it was kind of too chaotic for me to like it. It felt a little overbooked. There's a good reason for it. We find out why on the next couple episodes of Power, but it was a little head scratching just how much stuff they had going on during this match. But hey, the Rock and Roll Express retained, and then we got a couple announcements. First off, the next NWA pay-per-view will be on January 24th, and it will be called Hard Times. And hey, just to clear it up, a little later on Twitter, my boy Cody was asked about it. He said he really doesn't care that they're using that. Dusty's influence is everywhere. You can't fight it. You just gotta let it happen and hope it happens in good ways. And he thinks this is a good way. So good for that.
I mean, I saw someone kind of mention that Cody and Dustin, are his kids, but there are so many wrestling kids that he sired throughout the years that it's kind of hard not to honor him when you're trying to honor the history of wrestling.
Yep. Dusty is the big man. Him and Stone Cold are tied for the GOAT in my mind. And that tells you just how great he is. That someone like me who only got into wrestling a couple of years ago can say that.
Yeah. It's like trying to honor comic books and trying not to talk about Jack Kirby. If you're talking about comic books, you're talking about Jack Kirby. If you're talking about American wrestling, you're talking about Dusty Rhodes.
Damn straight. But then we also got the announcement that the NWA TV title is returning. The first championship match for it in, I believe, 22 years will be held at Hard Times. And leading up to that, there's going to be a tournament on Into the Fire every week. There will be 2 matches per week. We've already gotten a couple of them so far, and it's basically every male talent who doesn't have a belt is involved in it. It's fucking insane how many bodies they threw at that thing, and I have no idea who they're going to put the belt on first. If I had to take a wild guess, I'd say the question mark, just because of how much of a push they're giving him. But also, I kind of want to see it go to Ricky Starks, just because I think Ricky Starks is a really impressive young talent, and he deserves a belt right now.
Okay, real quick. It's not just me who hears his name and thinks, "Oh, Ricky Dragon Steamboat," because it's Rick and S last name.
Yeah, that is kind of there, I'll admit.
I'm not saying it's a direct like, "Hey, we're trying to reference this guy." It's just more of like, "Oh, that's a weird coincidence."
Also, little correction. I said everybody who doesn't have a belt is in the tournament. Fucking Nick Aldis is also in the tournament.
Hey, he wants another belt. Let him fight for it.
It's pretty crazy. I would love it if they had it come down to Nick Aldis and somebody else, and they used the championship match to put somebody over. Just have them get a win over Aldis for the belt. That'd be, in my opinion, like good. Hashtag good shit, I believe is the term. Anyways, Eli Drake cut a little promo on Ken Anderson, and then they had a fight, setting up a match on the next episode of Power for them. Then we had Allison Kay, who was supposed to team with, oh goodness, I forget her name, but another regular in their women's roster was going to team with her. However, she was taken out by Thunder Rosa before Thunder Rosa's match. So Allison Kay called in a favor, and ODB made her debut in the NWA. I'd never heard of ODB before.
She was in the Casino Battle Royale Women's Edition.
Oh, well, that whole match is kind of a blur for me.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, you've seen her, but you didn't see her.
Okay. Well,
she was there.
This was my first time seeing her, and I'm not going to say I really like her yet, but I was impressed with her just because it's something. Her gimmick is very different from anything else I've seen in women's wrestling, and I really like that. She's basically like a trailer trash biker bitch, but in a very badass and kind of like believe it in a babyface way, which is not something I ever thought I would expect to say. So kudos to her, and I like the way they're working her into this storyline so far on Power.
I haven't seen much of her wrestle, but I have seen like a little. So she doesn't wrestle all the time. She also has a food truck.
Okay.
That she regularly like brings to wrestling events and gives and has food for people to buy and all that kind of shit. And recently her food truck got hurt and damaged and may have gotten totaled even. And I think it was DDP. I don't know. Don't quote me on this. I definitely may have this story wrong, but I think it was DDP started a GoFundMe to help raise money for a new one, and it like exceeded the goal. And and like I saw an interview with her, and she was like, "I was surprised at how many people genuinely cared about me." And I was just like, "You're one of my favorite baby faces forever now."
That's nice.
I have adopted you as my aunt. Thank you. She has so much aunt vibes.
She really does. It's such an interesting character that she has, and I'm looking forward to getting to see her do more stuff in the future. But her and Allison picked up the win over Melina and Marty Bell. And then we went on to the freeway for the national championship. Ricky Starks, Aaron Stevens, and Colt Cabana, the reigning champion. Aaron Stevens walked out the winner there, which allowed him to get a little more heat because everybody loves Colt Cabana. And now he's walking around with the question mark going, hey, we're both in that TV title tournament. Let's go and pick up all the gold. Let's be big old heel boys and try and steal all the gold from everybody. And that's fun. I like that. Then Tim Storm had a promo basically saying he was really proud of the NWA getting to this point and that he's not finished. He still has more in him. And Mama Storm is watching tonight, and she's proud of not just him, but everyone else working the show.
Tim Storm is one of the weirdest and best oddities of wrestling in the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wouldn't expect, this one teacher from Middle America who just wrestles as like a part-time gig is going to become a really well-loved babyface in spite of the fact that he is not a contemporary worker, so to put it.
Yeah.
Like, his style is very much 80s.
I am honestly, like, as much as I do like Nick Aldis, I'm surprised he's not their champion right now, because he really personifies all the sort of nostalgia, but with a modern tinge to it, they're going for. He is so good. I love me some Tim Storm.
Speaking of Storms,
we had Nick Aldis taking on James Storm for the NWA Championship, Sweet Charlotte, in a 2 out of 3 falls match. This was pretty good. Not the best match I've seen Aldis have as the champion. Certainly not the best James Storm match or 2 out of 3 falls match I've ever seen. But for the first main event in the new NWA era, I think it worked pretty well. It did the job it was supposed to do, and it really tied this show all together. And then we had the thing people would not shut up about on Twitter for 2 straight days. Marty Scurll appeared to stare down Nick Aldis. Marty Scurll is now in the NWA. Open bracket, for now, close bracket. Because there's been interviews and stuff, because everybody was expecting him to either re-sign with Ring of Honor or go to AEW. So this was a total swerve. And there's even been some interviews on Power with Marty Scurll where he basically said, like, yeah, I know people were expecting other things of me, but earlier this year I had a championship match with Nick Aldis. I got a little taste of the NWA, and I really liked it. I wanted to see what a full meal is like. I wanted to have a nice little run in this company. And certain AEW executives have been interviewed, and they've said, yeah, we wanted Marty to come, but at the end of the day, Marty is his own person, and he's going to do what he's going to do, but that doesn't mean he's not going to show up at some point down the line. So that, combined with the fact that NWA and AEW have a pretty good working relationship, I'm thinking Marty Scurll is here for a storyline or 2, and then he's going to AEW.
Part of me feels like that is going to be a big thing that happens, but I also have a feeling, just because they are so friendly at this point in time, I wouldn't be doubtful of a talent sharing proposition. Not necessarily like, hey, give us all your people kind of thing, but more like, hey, we're not doing anything with these people. If you want to book them, they're not going to be busy. Hey, we'd like to use this guy for like a storyline. Would they be willing to do it?
And it seems like they're already doing that kind of thing. I mean, we had the Rock and Roll Express involved with Bucks versus Lucha Brothers earlier, or Bucks versus Proud and Powerful. Sorry. And Colt Cabana was on commentary for Dark this week, and he did a freaking great job.
Yeah, and that's something I wouldn't mind. It's not necessarily like, oh, AEW is the A show and NWA is the B show. It's more like, no, there's just 2 companies sharing talent, much like Marvel and DC would share artists or writers.
I would even think of it in the same way of the MCU or the DCCW shows share characters. Just like, yeah, this character is from this show, but they can appear in an episode or 2 of another show per season, and they'll all be in the big crossover, of course.
Yeah, and there's other things you can do that'd be interesting. You really want to build up and portray the history of wrestling? Well, hey, why not see if NWA would let you use their champion not in a wrestling capacity, but more in a historical context kind of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, you want your AEW wants an upcoming talent to get a couple more reps in and get over a little bit. Hey, we got some time here in NWA, and we can treat it in storyline as like an excursion. He's trying to find himself in wrestling.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things that can be done, and I'd be very interested to see it, especially we'll talk about something in AEW at the start of AEW, but let's go with the next smallest thing we have, which would be NXT.
Actually, there's one more NWA thing I need to talk about.
Oh, right.
Which is that the following night on Power, there was a little storyline going all throughout the episode where at the beginning, the Dawson's, I believe it was. It was either the Dawson's or the Wild Cards. No, it was the Dawson. They come out and they're like, "Hey, everybody thinks we're heels. They think we're a bunch of evil dickheads, and we're actually not. We've been involved in a conspiracy that's been going on in the last couple of weeks. The Wild Cards are a part of it too, and we want to tell the truth now because we're sick of this shit." And then the Wild Cards ran out and started beating them down and chased them into the back. And everybody's like, what the fuck is going on? And then towards the end of the episode, I believe Nick Aldis had a match with somebody else. And Tim Storm was on commentary. And sort of towards the middle of the match, Tim Storm said something that Nick Aldis didn't really like. He called him into the ring. And they started talking. And then Camille came out. And she talked to Nick Aldis for a second, and they seemed to have a bit of an argument. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Nick Aldis starts attacking Tim Storm. And then the Wild Cards come out, and they start attacking. And then Camille gets in the ring, and she starts attacking. And Camille makes out with one of the Wild Cards. And they kind of stand there all celebratory. And then the next week on Power, Nick Aldis cuts a promo trying to still be the very honorable, very traditional, nice, good guy champion. But he says, like, yeah, I do have a new insurance policy, and it's called keeping things strictly business. So basically what they've done with Nick Aldis to close out the year here is they've taken his character and they've turned it into a marriage of Chris Jericho and AEW with current heel Seth Rollins, where he's got this big stable of kind of younger, more interesting than him people, and he's also trying to pretend he's still the good guy, that he's still the locker room leader. And I don't know how I feel about it. I need like till the next pay-per-view really to decide, because it's an interesting concept for Aldis's character. However, on the other hand, the cynical part of me is going like, yeah, the NWA bookers were just sitting in a room going, what's hot right now? Let's do both things for Aldis.
I can see that, but it's also like, it's a classic wrestling trope of, oh, person just has a group of people with them. And remember, the greatest villains are the ones that think they're the heroes.
That's true. But that is basically all I had to say on NWA for this month, these last 2 weeks. I think it's been pretty solid showing for them. They're really. It's weird to say it because they've technically been around for fucking ever, but in this new era, they're really coming into their own, and I'm looking forward to see what they'll do in 2020.
I definitely think I'm gonna really start picking it back up, mainly because I think I got burnt out on it, and then Cornette on top of it just made me go like, I just want to step away from this product for a little bit. I definitely want to step back into it. It's not so much like they betrayed my trust. It's just more of like, I just need not right now.
You needed a palate cleanser. You needed for absence to make the heart grow fonder.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
But like, if you are going to do that at any point soon, I would definitely say like maybe just watch the Into the Fire show, Into the Fire, and then the couple episodes of Power we've had since then. Unless you like, do not watch the 2 episodes that happened after the Cornette thing, unless you just really want to see the Rock and Roll Express win the titles. Because the first one after the Cornette thing is kind of a boring clip show. And then the second one is also that, but it has a few new matches on it, which aren't spectacular.
Yeah. He really screwed them over with all that shit, man.
Yeah, he did. Let's make this a new motto for this show. Fuck Jim Cornette.
Fuck Jim Cornette, and Vince, please think of your health.
Hashtag put Vince in a home.
But speaking of Vince, we should probably take a little trip to WWE land, and I've been paying attention a little bit more, watching clips of this stuff, because some of it's been getting interesting. I wouldn't say the main roster is getting good, but it's getting interesting. There's things I would like to paint.
Has silver linings again.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I don't watch the main roster, but I now listen to like the podcast reviews of main roster shows that come out every week. And it really sounds like each show, SmackDown and Raw respectively, have one good storyline, and the rest is just boring or stupid or a squash match.
Yeah. But speaking of one of those good storylines, we have a very interesting dynamic heating up with Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan, and The Miz.
Yeah, there's been a crazy interesting thing going on leading into TLC, I believe it was, that happened in the last couple weeks, where Bray Wyatt had taken out Daniel Bryan, and he was going like, well, The Fiend has Daniel, and he's doing stuff with him, so I need something to do. Hey, Miz, you don't really need your family, do ya? And he was basically just creeping Miz the fuck out, and Miz was still doing a weirdly good job of being a babyface and like being full on honey, lock the house down, I'm not going to work today, I'm going to stay there and I'm going to make sure you guys are safe. There was a fantastic segment where Renee Young did a mock interview with him in his house, and then Bray Wyatt tried to attack their daughter, Monroe Sky. And one of my favorite touches in that segment is when they run up to the room. If you pay attention, Miz stops for a second, and then Maurice gets there, and he goes, okay, go, and kind of pushes her in first, still showing that he's still a heel at heart. I love that attention to detail in a story. There was they went and had a pretty awkward, but I think that was the point, match at TLC, which ended in Daniel Bryan returning and beating the crap out of Bray Wyatt as he laughed in maniacal pleasure. And then the following week on SmackDown, the latest episode of SmackDown as of this recording, there was a whole segment where Daniel Bryan basically goes like, yeah, I'm back to my old ways. I'm the American Dragon. I'm the Mac Daddy Dragon of the WWE. He didn't say that, but I wanted to put the American Dragon Jake Long reference in there, so screw you. And I'm gonna go beat up Bray because he cut my hair, and I'm pretty mad about that. And Miz goes like, yeah, that's cool. That's great. Good for you, Daniel. You go get your licks in. But also the dude fucked with my family, so I'm taking the title off of him. And that's where we are right now.
One thing I really want, though, is I want Daniel Bryan to start coming back in with the Final Countdown, because WWE has the money to get the rights to that.
That would be great.
Like, it can even be like a CFOS, like, fucking remix of the Final Countdown, like they do with Charlotte and the 2001 Space Odyssey theme.
That would be pretty good. But yeah, I think there's much else to say on that storyline. It's just been pretty
interesting.
Solid.
Since we're talking about interesting stories on the main roster, really briefly, Seth Rollins has had one of the most interesting goddamn heel turns recently.
Oh, you've been paying attention to that?
Yes.
Okay. I only know what I've heard through podcasts, so you go ahead and talk about that for a minute.
Essentially, what it is he basically was going like, yeah, no, I'm trying to fucking save the product. I'm trying to be good here, but all of you fucking suck. What the fuck you doing? And then AOP started doing shit, and he's going like, no, I'm not involved in that. And then at the end of one night, he was like, you know what? I wasn't involved with it, but they're agreeing with me. Fuck it. We'll work together. And now Seth Rollins is kind of like a mob boss of just like, finish him. Go at it. Do it.
Interesting. I've heard like he has a thing with Kevin Owens, and apparently they're going to have blow off at the Royal Rumble. And also a feud got set up with Samoa Joe on Raw this week.
Yeah, that was really cool because like they were just like insulting each other back and forth, that kind of thing. And Joe was standing up in his suit, looking nice, looking crisp, and is like, fuck. And Joe was basically going like, come on, bitch, come on. And Seth Rollins like, you know what? He started backing away, doing that kind of thing. And as he's walking away, as he's passing the AOP, that he just goes, finish him. And it's straight up like mob boss, like, take him out.
Damn, that's pretty cool.
That's badass. And it made Joe look like a really cool kind of baby face that doesn't take shit.
You know, I don't have any pick to win the men's Rumble this year. I have a pick for the women's Rumble, and we'll talk about that a little later. But honestly, I think it would be pretty great if that's set up for Joe to win the men's Rumble and challenge Seth at WrestleMania.
Seth doesn't have the belt right now.
He doesn't?
No, Brock does.
Oh, goddamn. Fuck Brock.
If I remember right, hold on, let me check. But why did you say fuck wrestling Twitter?
Yeah, this is a little rant I wanted to go on because basically, okay, I know wrestling is a constant and ever-changing thing, and there's always new shit coming out, and you gotta stay on your toes. Being a wrestling fan is basically having a part-time job. But holy shit, is it annoying when people spoil the outcome of matches for shows when they know there's people who watch both shows and are watching the opposite show live. Because I, for the last few weeks, have been getting spoiled for NXT on Twitter. Because I watch Dynamite live. Because I happen to just like Dynamite more and I want to cheer for the underdog. And, you know, I think that they probably have a harder time getting ratings than WWE fucking the Disney of wrestling name brand product does. So I watch Dynamite and I follow AEW on Twitter. But I also follow several NXT stars on Twitter. And here's the thing, it's understandable for them to tweet about their matches. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem with people like fucking okay, I understand why he does it. Because it's his job to report on this shit. But Dave Meltzer tweeting out the outcome of a match while it's happening is really annoying. Do that on the Wrestling Observer Twitter account. I don't follow Wrestling Observer. I'm subscribed to you guys. I listen to your podcast as regularly as I can, but I do not follow you on Twitter because I don't want to know the outcomes of things I'm not watching live before I get a chance to watch them. When I see people tweeting about it and going like, oh, wow, so cool that so-and-so won the championship tonight. I'm glad that happened. Or, oh, wow, X ending angle that is a spoiler happened. That was really incredible. It's really annoying. And I wouldn't be ragging on Dave so hard on it were it not for the fact that his co-host on Wrestling Observer Radio, Brian Alvarez, who I also follow on Twitter, does not do this. He just says, I'm watching this match right now, really liking it. Or, it's not my cup of tea. Or, what are they doing? Something like that. Just like his reaction to the match, not so much what is happening in the match. Again, I understand it's these people's jobs, and it's hard to keep up with wrestling, and it's kind of always going to be that way. But I had to unfollow Dave on Twitter this week because he spoiled the NXT Women's Championship match for me. And I think I would have been twice as excited about that match had I not known the outcome going in.
Shame. Yeah, but like, it's just how people view spoilers and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Brock is the current champion.
Fuck Brock Lesnar. Retire already, you big sack of beef.
Someone did. Someone fucked Brock Lesnar.
Don't talk about Sable that way. She's a nice lady.
I'm just stating a fact that she fucked him. They have a daughter. She's going to university.
Oh my god, could you imagine if she went to wrestling school? Vince would jump on that shit so hard.
She's in her college's wrestling team.
Vince is gonna jump on that shit so hard.
She's not in wrestling. She's in shot put, I think. I think she's in track and field.
Okay.
But she's in athletics.
Okay. I don't know your name, but if by any wild chance the daughter of Brock Lesnar and Sable is listening to this, please stay far the fuck away from WWE. I'm sure you're a nice lady, but stay away.
Hold on.
You're gonna look up her name?
No, I'm looking because like she eerily looks like her dad.
Oh, dude. Well, I suppose that's.
I mean, it's
Brock Lesnar already looks pretty feminine in the face.
Yeah, he does. Like, I'm not saying it's a weird thing. It's just like it's surprising how much she looks like her dad.
Huh.
Yep. So
you shouldn't have shown that to me, because now I have the temptation, but I'm not stupid enough to say potentially inflammatory things about Brock Lesnar's kid on a podcast.
God damn it. Oh, Lordy. So, Johnny boy, he back. He interrupted the NXT Championship match between Adam Cole and Finn Balor to get his licks in on Finn Balor. And now him and Finn Balor, I don't know why I'm saying Finn Balor like that, but there you go. He got his licks in on Finn Balor, and they're going to have a feud now. Nice. That's going to be a fun feud. I can't wait for like Johnny to have like some kind of comic book-esque gear, and then you see Finn Balor come on full comic book Venom symbiote-esque paint.
That would be amazing.
Oh no, Johnny needs to be in Spider-Man.
Has he done Spider-Man yet?
I don't know. He could, you know what he could do? Scarlet Spider, Ben Reilly.
Ooh, that'd be pretty slick.
That'd be cool.
But Johnny's back. I'm excited. Probably everybody's excited. We all love Johnny. Hopefully, now that he's back, we'll actually get some fucking promos on NXT again. Because, again, I don't dislike what NXT right now. It's just calm down with the fucking takeover level matches. It's all blending together because it's all on the same level and it's all matches.
Yeah, it was a similar problem with AEW when they first started Dynamite. It's like, oh, there's too many matches, we need more promo, and they got better. NXT's been kind of going the opposite direction.
Well, I think it was Ollie Davis on their recap of this episode of NXT who put it best, is that their response in counter booking to AEW has pretty much been like, okay, how do we fight them without looking like we're fighting them, but also we appease Vince? Let's just put on takeover cards every week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You need to have some backlashes. You need to have some TLCs, some Night of Champions. It can't all be takeover.
Mm-hmm. And maybe just a one and done that has build instead of a championship match at all would be nice.
Yeah. I'm not saying like
variety is the spice of life, Hunter.
Yeah. And I just want to mention real quick, you usually make the notes for MMWP. I put in things, but it's mainly because you're a much more meticulous person with notes. Yeah. I'm haphazard. And your next little bullet point just looks like the title for a children's book.
So Kushida and Cameron Grimes had a match after Kushida stole Cameron Grimes' hat, and Cameron Grimes acted like Kushida stole his firstborn last week. And it was a pretty solid match. Both guys looked really good, really strong. I'm still not coming around on Cameron Grimes, but I get why other people like him. It was a good showing for Kushida, though. However, he did lose, and Cameron Grimes got his hat back, and all is good in the world of steampunk hillbillies.
See, here's the thing. He just reminds me of a vintage Leonard Skinner shirt in the middle of a slightly dilapidated Goodwill.
Yeah, that's a pretty good summation of the Cameron Grimes character right there.
Like, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
All right. But we have the end of a reign.
We had the biggest come in probably the entire year of NXT. And I'm not just saying that because it's lady people. I'm saying that because it was really satisfying, okay? I'm not trying to be sexist here. I only just now realized how that sounded. So we had the NXT Women's Championship match of Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler. This is a blow-off to about 3 months, I want to say, worth of build, which I was initially on fire for because I've never been a big Rhea Ripley fan. I knew of her and I thought she looked really neat and I wanted to get to know more about her, but she was trapped in NXT UK. But then Shayna Baszler beat everybody. Shayna Baszler beat everybody like 5 times. They made her look really dominant and really, really powerful, which, good job putting your champion over, but I sure got sick of that shit. So they realized we need to bring in somebody else to beat her. If we're going to get that belt off of her, we need to bring in somebody else. And it has to be somebody who looks just as badass and as mean as her. So to counter the insanely strong MMA looking lady, they brought in the ridiculously strong looking metal lady
from Australia.
Yeah. And, we've talked about it back and forth. There's been the whole build for the last few months of Rhea Ripley going back and forth, trying to get that title opportunity until finally Shayna gave it to her a week ago, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, actually. And here we had the blow off in probably Shayna's best match as champion. Like, they pulled out every trick in her book so she could try and hold on to the belt, and Rhea countered all of them or just fought through them. And it made Rhea look so dominant, so powerful, and so smart. And it made you feel for her as a babyface. It made you want to see her win, because I think it's safe to say with every other championship match Shayna had, we wanted the babyface to win, either because we didn't like Shayna or we just liked the babyface already. In this match, you go from thinking, yeah, Rhea Ripley's really cool. I like Rhea Ripley. I hope she wins. It'd be a smart idea for them to give the belt to her. To, oh my God, this woman has to win. She is putting herself through everything to get this belt. And she did. She picked up the win, and it was the thing they ended the year on. I know there was an episode yesterday with a few matches they had pre-taped, but I don't care. That's Christmas. I'm not going to watch wrestling on Christmas. I'm with my family on Christmas. It was a smart idea for AEW to take Christmas off. This is how NXT ends the year, in my opinion, and it was a great way to end the year, especially if you watched the WWE.com/YouTube exclusive clip of her celebrating with the fans. Rhea Ripley both seems like the most badass woman in the world and like the coolest, most fun babysitter in the world. Like, I fucking love Rhea Ripley now. She's probably my favorite woman in WWE at the moment. It was fantastic.
Yeah. And I know you've been complaining about Shayna having the belt for so long. So, like, it's just good to have someone new, fresh face in the scene.
Yeah, and I mean, Shayna did have an incredibly long reign. I think she's the longest reigning NXT Women's Champion so far. So you got to give it to her for that. But honestly, now that she's not champion anymore, I am so freaking happy that we're done with that period of NXT and we can move on to more interesting and dynamic things with their women's roster. And B, I love the fantasy booking opportunities this presents, because we don't know what's next for Shayna. Like, she could stay on NXT. She could have a trying to get the belt back program with Rhea. But does anyone really want that? Does anyone actually think that's going to happen? Especially when we've had constant rumors for the last couple months that she's been being groomed for the main roster. No. I want Rhea. I said Rhea. I want Shayna to disappear for the next couple weeks, and I want her to debut for the main roster at the Royal Rumble. I specifically want. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying. Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, I specifically want her to debut for the main roster at the Royal Rumble alongside Marina Shafir and Jessamine Duke and Ronda Rousey. Because it's pretty much confirmed at this point that Ronda Rousey is on her way back to WWE. So I think it would be amazing if they used this year's Women's Royal Rumble as an opportunity to establish and put over the four horsewomen of UFC as a legit stable on the main roster. Like, can you picture just not one after the other, but maybe like every 5 or 6 entrants, here comes Maria, here comes Jessamine, here comes Shayna, and they dominate. They are Iron Women. they go the whole match just keeping the ring clear and hanging out with each other and being badasses. And then the final entrant is Ronda Rousey. And she's still dressed like a heel, like she was towards the end of her run at WrestleMania last year. And she slowly walks to the ring. And we're cutting back and forth between her mean mugging and the other three smiling like they know what's about to happen. And she gets in the ring. And they all look at each other and they smile. And then Shayna, Marina, and Jessamine jump out over the top rope, disqualifying themselves. Ronda Rousey is the Royal Rumble winner. And she's going on the warpath to get her revenge on Becky Lynch.
That'd be a good fucking match. But the only thing is, you immediately bring up this really dominant, hot person to the main roster, and you immediately just have them become a lackey for Ronda.
Well, no, because she's the Roderick Strong to Ronda's Adam Cole. She's still a badass. She's just the badass who dominates the mid card.
Okay. It's just a shame that WWE doesn't have a mid-card main women's title.
Well, I mean, considering how little he cares about it, you could call the tag titles their mid-card title.
There is truth in what he says.
Yeah, but that's my thought on Rhea Ripley becoming champion and where Shayna Baszler should go next. It's an interesting time for WWE's women's division. Like, we haven't talked about all the shit that's been going on with the four horsewomen of NXT right now, but despite it not being booked very well, there's interesting ideas there at the moment, I'll say.
I think that's the biggest problem. There's a lot of good ideas in the main roster, just very poor execution.
Yeah. But there is one other thing we need to talk about with NXT, and that is a little Christmas gift from the writers to, I think, very specifically to you. Did you see this?
That all I saw was a little clip of Mandy handing Otis a ham and giving him a little peck on the cheek, and him having the most innocent smile ever.
Yeah, basically there was this whole story on the Raw before Christmas, or was it the SmackDown? I want to say it was the Raw. Let me check the clip I posted in our wrestling chat real quick. Hang on. No, it was SmackDown. So on the SmackDown before Christmas, there was a thing where Otis is going around and he's like, I love Christmas. I love ham. I love Christmas. I love giving people presents. I'm going to give everybody hams. And him and Mandy Rose happen to get each other in the Office Secret Santa. And so he goes, "Oh, I'm gonna give Mandy a ham. I'm gonna show her what kind of good food loving guy I am, and she'll finally love me." And she's like, "Oh, this is nice. It's a little weird, but it's nice." And he's like, "Yeah, it's great, isn't it?" And she goes, "Yeah. Why don't I give you my present now?" And then he has to go to a match. So he goes to his match. And this is a decent match. I forget who it was against or what really happened, but I remember it being a decent match. I watched this whole little thing. He comes back, and Mandy and Sonya are just kind of hanging out, and he's like, that was great. I had so much fun because I think he won. And they hug, and then they pull away, and he's all sweaty, so he's kind of messed up her top, and he's all embarrassed, and he's like, "Oh, I'll go get you some towels or something." And then a little later, we come back, and Mandy's just got a different top, and she's like, "Oh, I never gave you my present." And she gives him a kiss on the cheek and says, "Merry Christmas, Otis." And ladies and gentlemen, that got a huge crowd reaction. Like, not a giant fucking Attitude Era level pop, but people fucking cheered for that, even though it was a backstage segment. This is the power of long-term booking.
Yeah, because Otis, ever since he got to the main roster, has been going like, Mandy. And you think, oh, it's going to be, if they ever do anything with it, it's going to be weird and creepy. It's like, no, he's just a weird fucking gremlin, and he finds her attractive. He's not going to be weird about it. And it's just like the pure innocence and joy of just being treated nicely like that. It's fucking great.
Mm-hmm. And some people have speculated, because we haven't gotten a SmackDown since, but honestly, I don't think this is going into a legit romance storyline for the two of them. I think this was like a done-in-one sort of like Christmas thing. But it was very sweet, it was very nice, and I'm happy that it happened. If it does go into an actual storyline, I will fucking eat my shirt, and I'll be happy about it. But I don't think it's going to, just knowing that writer's room. Like this, even if this is something they continue for like a week or two, it's the kind of storyline they drop.
Here's the thing. I can see a really sweet storyline coming out of something like this, of essentially Otis kind of continues crushing on Mandy, and it's not necessarily creepy, it's just more of like, oh, sweetie, and like he's going into matches and he starts getting beat up more and more, and Mandy just starts getting worried, and eventually it just culminates into Mandy helping him out, and basically, essentially, her going like, yeah, I enjoy your company as a friend, and he goes like, we're friends? That's sweet, awesome!
Yeah!
You know, him recognizing of like, he doesn't need her romantic reciprocation to appreciate her as a person. You know, like I would like Otis to be that kind of a big guy, big heart, just loving everybody.
That would be nice. However, if it goes that way, I think Vince McMahon is the kind of guy who believes in the friend zone. So
yeah, but like that would be a really cute storyline to do, because it subverts our expectations of it has to be a romantic subplot, but then it also shows young kids, especially young boys, that hey, you can just be friends. It's fine. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
Just because you're nice doesn't mean they have to fucking suck your dick.
Exactly.
Yeah. But speaking of dick sucking, we're going to talk about AEW now?
Yeah! It's so good. Oh, man. I love Tony Khan's checks, don't you?
Fuck, if we were getting paid by Tony Khan, I wouldn't be in as sad a situation as I am.
If we were getting paid by Tony Khan, I wouldn't even watch NXT. I probably would watch NXT, but we wouldn't talk about it on the show. We'd just talk about AEW.
Yeah.
Hello and welcome to the AEW podcast. I'm number one AEW superfan Boingo Ryder, and I'm joined by number two AEW superfan The Vacuuminator.
And then we spent 15 minutes just arguing who's the bigger fan.
Yes.
But
no, I bought more bottles of bubbly. No, I bought more bottles of bubbly. Well, I bought more t-shirts. Well, I bought more bomber jackets.
I have the towel.
Yes.
But speaking of bubbly, you bought some.
I did. I did.
You functioning alcoholic.
Listen. You're only an alcoholic if you need to drink. I don't need to drink. I like to drink.
All right.
I looked that fact up. All
right, Hangman.
Holy shit! I don't even drink that much when I'm drinking. I've never been like deliriously drunk. I have been deliriously drunk once, and it was in a call with you. But that was one time, and I fucking hated it, and I'm never getting that drunk again.
And it was on record, and you fell.
Yeah. My life is interesting. I'll give it that. But anyways, I had myself one bottle of Le Bubbly. I did do the 2-pack thing, because I think that was the only way you could buy it. However, one of them I'm keeping sealed for as long as possible. My goal would be to one day meet Chris Jericho and get a picture of me and him holding it before I ever cracked that open. But it was interesting, because it was my first time ever drinking champagne, and I actually drank it just last night for Christmas dinner. We had enough for free. There's enough in one bottle for free, well-filled glasses. So me and my parents each had a glass. And like I said, it's my first time drinking champagne, so I didn't really know what to expect, but I actually really liked it. Like, I don't know if it's a particularly great champagne, but as just booze, I liked it a lot. It struck me as like a really solid wine, but without any of the bite. It had this nice kind of sweet, but not overly so flavor to it, and it just went down super smooth. It made me want to just keep drinking it after every bite of food. But after about four sips, I realized, like, oh, that's way too quick for this. I need to slow down and start putting some water in as well.
Yeah. That's good. That's good that you didn't spend $40 on a thing you wouldn't like.
Yeah. And like it's also just a really cool looking bottle too. Like it looks exactly like every other bottle of bubbly Jericho has drank, and it's got that nice label on it, which isn't just sticker paper. It's actually like embossed and sort of beveled into there. A picture of Jericho and like some little spark artifacts, and it says a little bit of bubbly on the front, and on the back it says a libation suitable for Les Champions, and has all the like health information as well. And the two bottles also came with this like poster card, which has like a little write-up from Jericho on the back of like his honest opinion of it as a wine, sort of also in character, because at one point he does say like, once you have consumed this libation, every other alcohol, whether it be wine, beer, whiskey, bourbon, or whatever, it will all taste like swill to you. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's amazing how effective AEW has just been on marketing and merch.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just fascinating to me. Because, like, if AEW did Rusev Day, they'd have fucking Bulgarian flags that say it's Rusev Day the very next day on Pro Wrestling Tees.
Yeah. And I mean, like, they're letting JR plug his barbecue sauce like 3 times per episode of Dynamite. I don't think any other federation would be okay with that.
And Tony and his podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, it's very much like this is one of their jobs, and they can plug stuff whatever and whenever, so long as like they probably say like, hey, you can plug it, but like don't do too many. Okay, yeah, sure. And like they don't do too many.
You know what would be great? If Excalibur had a line of designer masks.
That'd be interesting, especially if he did them like the fancy cloth Japanese street fashion masks.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
So many possibilities with merchandising, and so very few wrestling companies actually take advantage of that. But AEW, gotta give it to the Bucks, even though it can seem kind of shilly at times. They really have a good mind for that.
But they also turned the shilling into like a running gag. Just like look at Being the Elite.
Fucking merch freak.
They took a joke about them shilling their merch, turned that into a bit, and then used that bit to make more merch.
And they also used that bit to revive a long dead fucking meme of Chris Angel parodies. Like, holy shit.
Like, they know what the fuck they're doing when it comes to merch. Like, oh, everybody's loving MJF. Well, there's not a ton we can do with MJF. Wait a second, he has an iconic piece of clothing. We can make a replica of that.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, we have dollar bills that come out of our entrance. What can we do with that?
So
I know.
Let's
just put it on fucking rectangle things and sell that. Cool, we have a beach towel now. Our top babyface is really well known for liking wearing suits. Let's just make some ties to go with suits. Like, they have a good eye for merch, and that's gonna, in the long run, that's gonna be a big thing against WWE.
But remember, AEW is just a t-shirt company.
Yep. Most profitable t-shirt company.
Damn straight.
I mean,
you want to get on... Sorry.
I'd much rather buy an AEW shirt than a WWE.
I mean, WWE has like 2 or 3 well-designed shirts a year, so... And
like, I can only think of like 1 or 2 AEW shirts that are kind of lazy and boring.
I mean, there's ones where I'm like, that's a cool design, but I wouldn't want it on a shirt. But they always have good designs, no matter what.
And when I say lazy, I mean like Awesome Kong's shirt.
Mm-hmm. Or like, I get why they did it, but Cody's Thronebreaker shirt just does not interest me at all. That seems like the kind of thing you put on like a trading card or a poster. It doesn't seem like a good t-shirt to me because it takes too long to explain that reference.
Yeah, but some of them are so fantastic. Like Jungle Boys is really good. Leva Bates the Librarian is a top-notch shirt.
I really want to get the Sean Spears the Chairman Cometh shirt. That looks really cool.
Yeah. They have a lot of really good shirts.
Yeah.
But speaking of where they sell most of their shirts and shell them out, Being the Elite has been like fucking fantastic lately.
Yeah, it is. It is really kind of found its footing again, because it was a little odd there for a little bit after Dynamite got started, because it's no longer just the Bucks goofing around in their off time. It's now like a planned out thing, and Cutler is shooting it himself every week, and then I believe Matt edits it on the weekends. So it's more of a collaborative thing now, and I think they've kind of figured out how that works and just what the balance needs to be. Like, there's a few fun bits here and there. There's stuff that continues from episode to episode, and there's like one or two big draws that keep you interested every week. And right now, those two things are Hangman drinking himself into a gutter, and the Dark Order kind of enticing people in.
Yeah. I'm digging the Hangman stuff. It's very interesting. And it does show in the main, like, real quick. I said a thing that got really heavily downvoted in Squared Circle recently.
Oh yeah, that.
Like, okay, people were complaining of like, oh, why do I have to watch Being the Elite to get this one dumb thing in Dynamite? And like, I shouldn't have to do that. I just respectfully put, yeah, but like a couple years ago, people didn't know who the fucking California Raisin was in the Marvel movies. They just Googled that shit. That's what you do today. And
it's just so fun seeing wrestling fans getting dragged into the 21st fucking century in terms of storytelling, because comic books and movies and TV shows have been doing this kind of stuff for years, where there's little bits and pieces all over the place, and you got to get them to put together a larger puzzle, but you can still enjoy the individual pieces. And now it's coming into wrestling with AEW, and all these old boomer weirdo wrestling fans are going like, what the fuck? I don't have time to watch a 10-minute YouTube video every week. I'll sit down and watch a 2-hour wrestling show, but I can't watch a 10-minute YouTube video. How do they expect me to keep up with their storylines when they put important stuff there? That makes no sense.
And it's just so dumb. And like, it got downvoted it got pretty downvoted. It didn't go super hard. And I just posted a picture of that in your Discord server, which, by the way, if you want to join Vac's Discord server, go support him on Patreon. You get a link.
Hey.
And I just responded with it is, why are you booing me? I'm right.
It's so ridiculous. Like, Brian Zane, Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, Wrestle Talk guys, I love all of you. You all do great work, but get off your asses and watch the auxiliary media. It's not going to take a ton of time out of your day. You can do it while you're fucking unloading or loading the dishwasher. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. They act like it's such a big, hard deal to do. It's like, why should I have to go to a different place to watch things?
I think there's too many people who are still really used to sitting down in front of the TV and paying 100% attention to something for the whole thing. And like, fair enough, wrestling is kind of about that. To understand the storytelling of a match, you have to watch that fucking match. But also, everybody else is used to, okay, I put on a podcast or a YouTube playlist or a TV show, and I do 3 or 4 other things in another tab or on my other monitor or on my phone, or I'm doing chores while I'm doing that. Like, that is the kind of society we live in today. And you can talk about like, oh, attention spans are so low and that's so terrible all you want, but at least storytellers are learning how to handle that.
Yeah. And Being the Elite's a great example of it, because 90% of it, I wouldn't say 90, about 50% of it feels like, what if a sketch comedy show, but all the comedians in it were wrestlers that also wrestled?
It's fun fluff.
Yeah. But then you have some cool little character bits, like Hangman feeling really bad about losing all the time and just trying to find his footing and succumbing to darker urges. That is shown in the main roster show in Dynamite with him being impetuous in matches and being kind of a hothead, but is expanded upon of him kind of being a little bit more drunk and divulging in that kind of thing. We see the Dark Order being an invasive presence on Dynamite, but there's only so much you can do in 2 hours, meaning if you did it every 10 minutes, it'd get annoying. You can only do it like once or twice tops a show, but they can do it a couple more times on Being the Elite because it's quick, it's cheap, it's in and out, and you're done.
And you could even do an angle or two on Dark.
Yeah. So it shows how pervasive they are being within the AEW product.
The thing about AEW storytelling is, I think the key thing to take away from this whole segment is AEW storytelling is not unlike an onion. It has layers.
To me, it's more like trying to read an event comic in Marvel. Like, you can read the main event series and pretty much get all the story you need. But you can also read some of the side content that's tying into the main event series and get more context, get more stuff. And yeah, sure,
some of it's from different angles.
Yeah, sure, it's going to be fluffy, but some of it may be fluff. But you know what? It gives greater context for this person in this context.
And depending on the story, sometimes the tie-ins can make that story, they can add to it, or they can save that story. Great examples. Blackest Night. I cannot enjoy a reread of Blackest Night without reading the tie-ins. Fear Itself. I like Fear Itself on its own, but the tie-ins do add a little nice extra things to it. Civil War II. It's a fucking garbage comic, but I love all the tie-ins I read.
But yeah, that's what I see Being the Elite as. It's the same thing with Dark. People have been going like, I'm not watching Dark. It's like, but bruh, that's like setup for more episodes of Dynamite. Like, people are going like, oh, there's no storylines in women's division. It's like, yeah, there has been. Look at Dark. They've been jockeying for a position. They've been trying to get noticed, and new talent coming in trying to make a name for themselves. Of course, they're not on Dynamite yet. They haven't made a name for themselves.
But those are just boring filler matches they did to get the crowd hyped up, and there's no actual story being told there. It's just matches and filler hype stuff with Tony Schiavone. Brah, do you even wrestle?
Yeah. I mean, all matches until a pay-per-view are just filler matches.
Fair enough.
But speaking of Dark, we have some Dark highlights you want to mention?
It's mainly about the commentary for me in the last couple of weeks. We had Vicky Guerrero and Colt Cabana in the last 2 episodes, and man, were they in interesting contrast, because I'm going to start with Colt Cabana, even though he was on the latest episode, but Colt really comes off like once he's done wrestling, he could be a phenomenal commentator. Like, he's just got the chops to keep up with Excalibur and feel like they've been doing it together forever. And it wouldn't surprise me if somebody said, hey, they've done a couple shows on commentary together before. But I also think that just comes from the fact that he's had one of the longest running and most influential wrestling podcasts out there. Like, dude's just a solid talker. And Vicky Guerrero was really interesting to play off of Excalibur because she was doing an old school character commentator of like, I have my own sort of place and story in a character I'm doing while I'm also trying to comment on this match. Whereas Excalibur is very much the technical, I know everything, stay in the moment kind of guy. It was just an interesting dynamic to see them playing off of each other. And it's also just fun seeing the kind of names AEW will pull sometimes, because we've had members of their roster commentating, and we've had legends commentating, and we've also got people from other companies commentating now. It's it's really interesting to tune into Dark just to see what they'll do with the commentary every.
But speaking of the commentary, Vicky Guerrero wasn't alone with Excalibur for the whole episode because someone else came in and just fucking did some amazing shit.
Joey fucking Janela. That boy is something else. I feel so bad about not knowing about Joey Janela before AEW because I know he's done a ton of shit before AEW, but wow, is he good?
And his commentary for this episode of Dark was like pure audio format of being the Elite. It was hilarious.
He parodied the fucking Coronet line perfectly.
It was so good because if you don't know, the Coronet line was running through Ethiopia with a bucket of fried chicken on your back.
Not running, being on a motor scooter traveling through Ethiopia. We have to have that historical accuracy.
Right. But Joey Janela parodied it and said he's like riding on a motor scooter through Canada with a packet of maple syrup strapped to your back. And it's like...
And he said that about Orange Cassidy. He said Orange Cassidy is so brave that he would do that.
Which... immediately pissed off Cornette. It's like, how can he say that, but I got in trouble? Here's the reason he can say that and get away with it, and you couldn't. Because
Orange Cassidy is already a commentary, or already a comedy character. You're saying it about a serious character.
He was also making fun of you, so there was already a level of comedic satire in there. But also, he wasn't making a racial joke. He was making a cultural joke that even in context doesn't make sense. It's weird and absurd. Like,
you're just going, hey, black people like chicken. Also, Dick Murdoch is a badass.
It was like, black people like chicken and Ethiopia is starving. It's like, that's not good fodder for a joke. But Canadians like maple syrup. It's like, oh, that's a weird, goofy thing that we kind of understand as like a weird stereotype, but it's so non-harmful of a stereotype that it really isn't like something we should be cognizant of.
And I've never met a Canadian who actually dislikes that. I think all Canadians are kind of in on the joke at this point.
Yeah, that and the saying sorry all the time. That's like, I think that's a stereotype they kind of take with a little bit of pride. It's like, yeah, we're fucking polite. Fuck you. But also he had other bits like, I wouldn't want to fight him outside of a Blink-182 concert. And it was just like, because you remember he had a fight with like Enzo Amore at a Blink-182 concert.
Wrestling is fucking insane, man.
Some really top-notch things from Joey Janela. Shout out Joey Janela.
We love you, Joey Janela.
Yeah.
Come on the show sometime.
When we have enough clout for you to even pay attention to us.
Right now he's just doing that thing where somebody twitches and goes, did somebody say my name?
Joey Janela, Joey Janela, Joey Janela. Is he here? Nope, he's not Beetlejuice.
Damn it.
But next, we have, like we were talking about with Adam Page, he's been kind of exploring his character as being disappointed in himself and hard on himself. And he's been having some matches with Kenny Omega. And the last one they won. After Kenny kind of did a majority of the work and Adam Page came in and did one final move to finish it off. And Kenny's like, okay, weird flex, but okay. And this week they had another match, but this time with the Lucha Brothers. And
the Lucha Brothers pretty much dominated them. I mean, there was a bit of a struggle at the start, but man, did the Lucha Brothers take them to town.
Yep.
And this has been really solid in-ring storytelling, too, from the two of them, because there was a little segment on Being the Elite about, like, Kenny going, hey, Bucks, I'm teaming with Adam, and we're taking on the Lucha Brothers, and the Bucks being like, that sounds like it's going to be a shit show.
And it was.
And yeah, the there was just constant like fighting and trying to tag each other out from Adam and Kenny, and the Lucha Brothers, they don't give a fuck about your personal BS. They don't care. They're just here to get a win. So they treated it like a completely serious match and completely messed them up and got the win. And afterwards, Kenny and Hangman were having a bit of a spat until suddenly Mr. Pac comes on the monitor.
The bastard did a very bastardy thing. He kidnapped Michael Nakazawa.
Yeah, he comes on the monitor and he goes like, "Hey, Kenny, I've been trying to get your attention for like 2 weeks now.
Notice me, senpai.
You've been ducking me and dodging me. You owe me a fucking match. And you know what? I'm no longer responsible for my own actions. So since you won't give me a match, it's going to start costing you." And he goes into the locker room. And we see Michael Nakazawa sitting with his back to the door on his headphones. His music's up so loud he couldn't hear the door get kicked in. And Pac just shushes the camera, closes the door, and we don't know what happens next because Kenny tries to run backstage, but the Lucha Brothers beat him down. And that was during the commercial break, but then we cut away to Darby Allin getting ready for his match.
Yep. And next, Cody and Darby are going to team up against the Butcher and the Blade.
This was a fucking great tag match, man.
Oh,
Way
yeah.
to make every single person involved look like $1 million.
Butcher and Blade are definitely going to be amazing players within the AEW scene.
Way to, like, I don't think any other person in this roster has come in and just been instantly like, what the no, what is this? No, to, oh my god, these guys or gals are great. Do more shit with them.
The only other person I can think would be Chris Statlander.
See, I'm not there with her yet.
Oh,
I know some people are, but we'll talk about her when we get to her segment.
Just boop.
Okay.
But the whole reason Darby said, "Hey, I'll tag with you to get back at them," was, "Hey, if we win, I want another match because I feel like I was this close to beating you, and I want that opportunity."
Mm-hmm. And fucking Sean Spears stole my thunder.
So they're gonna have a match, the first Dynamite of the new year. That's gonna be fantastic.
The fucking homecoming episode. Oof. I'm so interested to see what this episode is gonna look like because they're gonna have a lot of big angles, but also it's being done in Daly's place, and unless they're changing the way they shot it for Fight for the Fallen, Daly's place is so weird looking for a wrestling venue. So very different from what you normally see in televised wrestling. So I really want to know what that episode is going to look like.
I mean, looking different is not a bad thing, especially because the whole reason Daly's place kind of dragged on the first time they did it was because it was in the middle of a Florida summer. But now it's Florida winter, which is like regular temperature anywhere else.
Look, okay, I'm not trying to be offensive to you, Chris. It's just I've lived in Florida, so I feel like I'm speaking from experience here. Florida has 2 seasons. It has summer and diet summer. They're in diet summer right now.
It's a little bit cooler than that. Come on, it could get freezing sometimes in Florida.
It can get chilly in Florida occasionally for like 2 weeks a year.
No. We had like a freeze warning like a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so you're in that 2 weeks of the year.
Come on, it can be cold. But yeah, this is gonna be a fun match. But one Jungle Boy also had a fucking fantastic match.
This was my match of the night, man. Fucking Jungle Boy and Chris Jericho, 10-minute time limit, non-title match. We just want to see if Jungle Boy can make it 10 minutes with Le Champion, because Jungle Boy's got no wins. He doesn't deserve a title match, but he challenged, and Jericho said, all right, we'll do it. I'm going to take on this little punk, and I'm going to prove a point, because I got one match left in the year. And, man, I was just so invested and so ready for this. Because, first of all, you got Jungle Boy coming out with the rest of Jurassic Express. And then you cut over, and not just Jungle Boy's mom is there, but his sister is there, and his freaking grandma is there. Like, every important lady in his life, because I don't think he's seeing anyone right now, is at ringside cheering him on.
And you know damn well his dad would have done the same.
Mm-hmm. And fucking just everybody in the room, except for Jericho and Hagar, seem like they're behind him. Like, you know, JR's been hot on him since day one, even though he can't get his name right. Shivani's in his corner.
At this point in time, I'm on JR's side. It makes total sense to say Jungle Boy Jack Perry because JR's explanation was, yeah, one day he's going to look old enough that you can't call him a boy anymore. It's going to come a time where it's going to make more sense to call him something else. I'm just trying to give them options for later.
I'm fine with him doing that. It's just I thought it was hilarious this week when they were hyping up the match and he goes, Jungle Jack Boy Jack Jungle Jack Boy Jungle Jack Perry. He's next.
Jungle Jack. Gonna beat the Syndrome.
My favorite member of the Incredibles. But he comes out, he's got this great entrance, and then Jericho comes out and he's being his dastardly self. And they just have a really solid big versus small match. Such good working from both guys. Like, Jericho was clearly carrying the match to a degree, but it was very much more so, I'm just out here to make this kid look good. And make the kid look good he did, because when he got him in those walls at the end, and it was like, we got 2 minutes left, I was silent during the entire rest of this episode, except for occasionally having to explain what was going on to my dad. But during this match, in those last 2 minutes, I was on the edge of my screen, on the edge of my seat, shouting, come on, go, you got this. And when he actually made it to the 10 minutes, I fucking got out of my chair and went, fuck yeah. And then Jericho went over and went, give me 5 more minutes. I can still beat him. And I immediately went, you fucking chicken shit. It was so good, especially because Jericho then proceeded to have 2 near falls, and then he ran out of the ring and was just like, fuck this. Kids are scary.
Yep. Perfect execution of. People were saying like, oh, the ending was messy. I don't like that. I'm just like, that's kind of the point. It was supposed to be a little bit messy because it's one person being an egotistical maniac, just being an asshole.
Mm-hmm. Every once in a while, like, they don't always do it, but every once in a while we see there's chinks in Jericho's armor, and it's so much fun when they do that. Especially because right afterwards, when they came back from commercial, Shivani was at the top of the stage with Jericho, and he's like, so you just lost. What are you talking about? I didn't lose, I forfeited, I ran out. No, your challenge was go 10 minutes. He went 10 minutes. You technically lost this challenge. And he's like, no way, that's a draw. It's fine. The extra 5 minutes, they don't count. Also, Jon Moxley. Forget about Jungle Boy.
Which does a good job of like setting up what's going to happen January 1st of, oh, what's Jon Moxley going to do other than fucking DDT Chris Jericho in the middle of the ring.
But it's also just like good heel character building of trying to distract everybody from what just happened because it didn't look good for him.
And everybody did get distracted. Shame. You all got worked.
You know, Cultaholic did Don't You Forget About Keith Lee. I think we need to start Don't You Forget About Jungle Boy.
I don't think there's a song we can do that with, because I don't think we should just copy it.
Fuck.
Welcome to the Jungle Boy.
He's got pins on Jericho.
All right, let's fucking move on. So Statlander has a match for the number 1 contendership of the women's title. The first big kind of like, oh, who's going to go up for the belt next, the women's had since Emi Sakura.
Her and Britt, correct?
Britt Baker, yes, because they were number 1 and number 2.
Were you aware she's a dentist?
She's a dentist.
Yeah. So I'm gonna be honest. I don't wanna come off as like just shitting on her, but I'm still not too hot on Statlander. I can see why other people are getting into her because she is a very indie-rific character, and it's neat to see that on national television. But it just doesn't work for me. Something about the specific way she looks, not speaking about her body, but about her ring gear, bind with the alien thing and just her weird ass Titantron, it doesn't quite work for me, at least on Dynamite so far. There was one segment in Being the Elite this week, where her and Orange Cassidy communicated via Boop, and I didn't get the Boop thing. I didn't like it a whole lot when they started using it on Dynamite. However, using it in the context of, because here's the thing, the commentators and the booking and everything in all of the other AEW stuff for her so far has treated it like she's an actual real space alien. And okay, I get the fun of that, but we're out of the gimmick era. That doesn't work for me anymore, and I get the feeling that doesn't work for a lot of other people. Like, I think she's a character that's definitely got the fandom split down the middle. You either like her or you just don't get it. And I'm kind of still in the just don't get it crowd.
I think they just need to play it more as like, she says she's an alien and she does some weird shit, and I can't say she isn't, but she's doing a good job as a wrestler, so we're just gonna look past the weirdness.
That's the thing, is like that Being the Elite segment where she comes in and she's talking about Christmas like she's never heard of it before, and she's trying to boot people, and they're like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then the best friends come in and they're like, you need to calm down, and she's like, "Take me to your leader." Orange Cassidy comes out, she tries to boop him, and he puts her hand down and then boops her, and they walk away. I was like, oh, she isn't actually an alien. She's just a weirdo who likes to pretend she's an alien.
But you can't be certain she isn't an alien.
Just like Orange Cassidy is just a weirdo who doesn't give a crap during wrestling.
Yeah.
If they played her character like that, I would be way more into it. But so far, that one Being the Elite segment is the only time they've done it. Also, I hate to be this guy, but I think she needs to work on her promo skills, because she had a promo on Dark a couple weeks ago, and she seemed like she was just rushing through some cue cards.
Yeah, but again, they've said it on commentary, she's only been wrestling like 3 years max, and she's already this good in the ring. I feel like it's just more of a thing of like, she just needs more practice, she needs more reps, she needs the time to do it. And AEW so far seems to be the kind of place that's like, we're not going to put you on promos immediately on the main roster, like on Dynamite, and just throw you out to the fishes. We are going to help you with Being the Elite, which she's been on a couple episodes, so good.
And I'll also admit, there are, like I've said, there are things I like about her. I love that Being the Elite segment. I think the cartwheel spot is really fun.
If I may say, I genuinely enjoy their going back and forth and doing some holds. She gets them in like a dip hold, and she just goes boop. That's a great little psychological, like, what the fuck are you doing?
I also like just the fact that she's, physically speaking, she's a very average looking woman. Like, she's not a hoss. She's not insanely skinny or insanely buff. She just looks like a normal lady you'd see on the street. Like, I think that's
a normal American lady, because we have some average Japanese ladies and they're a little bit smaller.
That's true. But it's just neat to see somebody so normal looking, aside from her gear, in wrestling.
And I also really enjoy her face paint. It's one element I was like, that's a neat little element. I dig that.
Okay.
It's just a thing I like.
Yeah.
She's cool.
I'm not going to rain on your parade. I'm just saying it's not a parade I'm in.
So we also have some elements going on in the tag scene. And Sean Spears going like, damn, this tag scene's actually getting pretty poppin'. Hey, Tully, let's get in on this shit. And he goes like, you know what? You're fucking right. I had a lot of success in the tag team scene. Let's try a hand in there. Let's get you a partner. So they're on the look now. So that's going to be setting up for something interesting coming up.
Here's the thing, though. I wrote this down because they've already been on the look on Dark. They had that bit with Kip Sabian, which didn't work out because Joey Janela interfered. Or I can't remember if that was Dynamite or Dark. I think it was Dark. But I just thought it was hilarious.
It was Dynamite. Okay. That's why people were upset that the blow off the Janela Spears happened on Dark.
I just find it hilarious that they put this like 30-second promo in seemingly as just a way to remind us that Shawn Spears still exists and is doing stuff. Like,
he's just not in the main storyline, which has been Jericho and the Inner Circle versus the Elite and all the permutations of that. So yeah, of course he's going to get a little bit lost in the shuffle, but he's an important player that I can definitely see being part of major storylines, say second quarter of next year.
Yeah. Like, I know we're doing MJF right now, but I would like him and Cody to eventually get back to each other.
Yeah. It definitely feels like he's not getting lost in the shuffle, but it's kind of like, hey, can we get to you back in a second? He's like, yeah.
He's on the back burner.
Yeah. But he's still being tended to. He's not being forgotten and getting scorched.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was a solid little segment. It felt, the way they played it, it did feel very WWE. Like, they're kind of cut in backstage segments of, hey, a thing is happening, but also these people are doing stuff. And just the kind of way they read their lines, because it was very obviously not scripted by creative, but like they wrote out what they were going to say and then just read off the paper.
Yeah, and that may also just because of habit from Shawn Spears of being in WWE. He may like that kind of promo style, which, fair game. Mm-hmm. It's fine.
Yeah. It was interesting.
I do like how they tried to frame it more within the context of the show of like Shawn Spears and Tully Blanchard want to make an announcement.
Yeah.
So that's a nice little like layer of exposition on why are we seeing this.
True. But then we had our main event, which was SCU versus the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships. The promise that started AEW, the best tag team division in the world, has come true, ladies and gentlemen, or at least that's the way they booked this.
Oh man, it's a fantastic thing. Everything, like, the tag team scene in AEW is just bombastic, and like, they've only barely scratched the surface because we've just been seeing a lot of SCU and Lucha Bros and Young Bucks. Those have been kind of like the main three that we've been focusing on.
Private Party has also been in there quite a bit.
Yeah, but like those have been the main three, and like on the back burner you have Private Party, the Hybrid 2, and
Jurassic Express.
Yeah, they've been kind of on the back burner. Important, but not so much in the main event of the tag team scene. And then slowly other things started happening. Like, oh wait, Butcher and Blade, you're a thing? Oh shit.
Oh, Dark Order, you've been repackaged?
Like, and repackaged in such a way that it feels so completely natural. It doesn't feel like a repackaging.
It just feels like we found out what their deal was.
Yeah, like, they've always been this. It's just now we know. Like, there's so much going on, and like, it just feels like it's about to bubble over and something's about to go wrong. And
that's really cool. That whole storyline they've done throughout this year has been great. However, I will say this match was a little lackluster. Like, it was very obvious from a certain point that they were going to end the match early so they could do an angle. Like, I didn't know what the angle was going to be, but it was kind of like, oh, they're not going all out. They're going to try and wrap this up quickly so they can do something cool at the end, and they don't want to be super tired for it. What's going to happen? Oh no, are the Bucks turning heel? Please don't turn heel, guys.
Nope. We just got a little darker.
Yeah, the lights go down, creepers come out from all sides of the audience.
With one special creeper with a purple mask, which we'll get to in a second.
But Evil Uno walks out with a microphone, and what's the other guy's name?
Shit.
He walks out with a microphone, and he says, "Hey guys,
Stu Grayson."
Yeah, I'm so I can't remember everybody's name. I'm sorry. But they walk out, and Evil Uno's on the mic, and he goes, "Hey guys, I know what this looks like. And on any other night, we probably would be looking to recruit you. However, this isn't a recruitment. This is an initiation. And John Silver and Alex Reynolds, the two jobbers who have appeared numerous times on Dynamite so far, and I feel the need to say that because people acted like they had no idea who the fuck these two were. The jobbers who have been getting their asses handed to them repeatedly on Dynamite so we could put over other teams, they come out, and they and the Creepers get in the ring, and they start beating up the Young Bucks and SCU. And then Evil Uno and Stu Grayson join them. And then we have Cody, Dustin, fucking DDP, several other people all come out for the Kenny. Kenny came out. Importantly, not Adam Page. Adam Page did not come out. But a lot of people came out to try and make the save. But the Dark Order was just too much for them. They beat them down. They bloodied Nick Jackson. And as one of the Creepers held up his mouth to Evil Uno, Evil Uno sticks his hand in Nick Jackson's mouth. And he pulls it out all bloodied. He rubs it across his face. And that's how we close out 2019 for AEW. The Dark Order is here, and they are dominant.
And giving the Initiates brand new masks, which were purple.
It's interesting. Like, there's been the comparison for the Dark Order of the minions or the Creepers, I'm sorry. The Creepers are like the putties from Power Rangers. And while I do see that, I think they're more like later season Power Ranger foot soldiers. Because they have, I think the different color masks denote ranks. I think there's various ranks in these foot soldiers that the Creepers are. And depending on what your rank is, you're a different level of strength. Like, it goes from like jobber to mid-card to upper mid-card, and Uno and Grayson are the main eventers of the Dark Order. And that's also how I logic out, because people were crying foul on this all over the place of like, how can all these big main eventers get beaten up by a bunch of no-name fucking dudes in masks? It makes no sense. That even though there were better numbers, they're just jobber fodder. They shouldn't have different levels of strength there. You're getting overwhelmed by a bunch of guys. Yeah, some of them you could easily beat, but some of them you might have kind of a tough time with.
It's also the ninja principle. You got to think about it within storytelling. One person against 1,000 ninjas, the one person's going to do very, very fucking good. But if the no, it's wrong ninja principle. That's one ninja principle. Ninja principle number 2 is if you're fighting and they come in single file, you can beat them each. That's what the elite guys did. They came
Same thing with zombies.
Yeah, they came in single file. If they came in all at once to beat the Creepers, yeah, they'd be good. But they came in one at a time, and they were like, okay, cool, we can deal with these guys more efficiently. They did what they thought we were doing was right, but no, the Creepers had the advantage.
And I'll admit, hey, like that botch with Dustin and the Creeper was kind of cringy. But other than that, I really liked this segment. I thought it was a very unexpected, but a very smart and interesting and kind of hooking way to close out the year. I know there were a lot of people, especially people on a certain radio show who have been down on the Dark Order since day one that didn't really like this. But I gotta admit, even though it makes me sound like a mark because I've done almost nothing but say good things about AEW tonight, I really liked this. It was interesting. It was different.
So who do you think was the person who was already in the purple mask?
It's Brandon Cutler.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right.
It's Brandon Cutler because the Bucks are trying to build him up. And they've been doing little things with him here and there, and he hasn't gotten a win. And he's also been sort of kind of absent from things. So, and it would also present a lot of great storytelling opportunities were he to get revealed, because then you can have the Bucks feud with him. You can have like this whole separate Dark Order thing where like Uno and Grayson are doing something with another tag team, but maybe Cutler and someone else as members of the Dark Order are taking on the Young Bucks. And also, imagine the fun you could have with Dynamite if we find out that the guy who's shooting it every week is a Dark Order sleeping agent.
Being the Elite.
The fun you can have with being the Elite if we found out the guy who's shooting it every week is a Dark Order sleeper agent.
I don't want them to reveal it anytime soon, but I would love to see more hints.
Mm-hmm.
And he was kind of tall and lanky in just the right kind of cutlery way.
Like, there's a possibility it could be Hangman, it could be Nakazawa, it could be several other people on the main roster. The main roster, that's not a term in AEW, I don't know why I said that. It could be several other people on the roster. But to me, Cutler is just not only the logical choice, but the smart choice from a storytelling perspective.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I cannot wait to see what happens going forward. The Young Bucks were right. People were going to be chanting for the Dark Order a few months in, and boy howdy, Dark Order's fucking over and great and wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Although, so do you believe the stories that are coming out that there were bullshit chants and like fucking the crowd was really quiet and not into it? Because I thought they were about as loud as they had been for the rest of the night, except for like finishes to matches.
Yeah, no, it sounded like that on the show, and I didn't see anything from live people that said that.
Yeah, apparently there were a couple reports on Twitter from the crowd that there were bullshit chants. But if that happened, like, I don't think it was because people were mad that this angle happened. I think it was because they were going like, oh, this is happening to all these people we like. We don't like this. It's bullshit. We don't like the Dark Order in a kayfabe way. I seriously doubt it was go home heat, especially when those vignettes have been getting Dark Order over so much for the last few weeks.
Or it could have been bullshit. This is the last match of the year, and you're giving us a fucking angle to go home on, and not like a genuine finish to a match.
Mm-hmm.
It could have been that, and I'd understand that, but.
But you know what? In the words of Ryan Johnson, it subverted your expectations, didn't it?
He's never once said that.
I know. I'm just being a shithead.
But speaking of our expectations, they are going to be wiped clean because the win-loss record for AEW is going to be reset for the next annual year, with a general overall record being kept on the books.
Yeah, this was just announced like 10 minutes before we got in our call tonight. But on Twitter, AEW at AE Wrestling said that from now on, every calendar year, the win-loss records will reset, with the records for that year being what counts for each individual roster member. However, there will still be cumulative career records for each people. I'm assuming like on the website that you can go back and visit, and also because we talked earlier about how merch they are, I would not be surprised if eventually they start selling like an AEW sports almanac kind of thing that like lists everybody's records even once they've left the company.
Or trading cards.
Trading cards is definitely a thing that is probably down the line for them. Like, I just want more AEW merch that's actually to my taste. Like, I've got plenty of t-shirts now. Can we get some toys? Could we get some trading cards? Could we get some other stuff that's not just like different kinds of apparel?
I can also imagine the cumulative records would be really great for the video games.
Oh yeah, like informing how strong certain people are against other people.
Yeah, especially because WWE's 2K games are kind of very fucking arbitrary on this character's 98, this one's 97, this one's 88. Like, why? Why are they this strong?
It's like WWE's booking. It's whoever we want to push this week.
Yeah, but AEW could go like, no. This person has this kind of a record. They're this good. And they can explain it. Like, it can be a little fudgy behind the scenes of like, yeah, no, we want this guy to be a little bit stronger because we're going to plan on doing stuff with him. Can you make him look a little bit stronger? It's like, yeah, we can.
This guy's on the cover. We can't have him be worthless.
Yeah. They can fudge the numbers, but it can be an explanation. And there's things like that. I'm very interested to see it. I kind of wish it'd be per year, as in they started up again in when they cleaned the slate on the first anniversary of the first Dynamite.
I would say either that, or this might be too meta, but it would be cool if they did it at the anniversary of the press conference.
I mean, that's kind of lined up because they did it in January, I think it was.
Oh yeah, that's right. God, this has been a long ass year.
Yep. But I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they're doing it now. It's just like, oh man, I would have liked to seen a full cumulative year before they reset the clock.
Yeah.
Because now it just kind of feels like a little like limp-dicked.
Also, before we move on to the last thing, because you brought it up, I've been kind of wondering when they do because it's not a question of if. Kenny has already said they want to do a video game, and he's going to make it a major push of his behind the scenes. Who do you think is going to be the first person on the cover of that video game? That annual video game we'll get from them?
If it was up to me, it'd be the Elite. Not just one member. It'd be Cody, Kenny, the Bucks. If he's there at the time, Skrull, maybe Dustin. Like, I want the people who kind of started this thing to be the first ones. Not just because, like, oh, they started and they run the company. It's like, no. AEW wouldn't be a thing without them, and it'd be cool to have that be the first thing to kind of push us out of the door. And then the next one I'd want like who's ever the hot female at the time, who's ever really doing good for that.
See, I wasn't thinking multiple people. I was thinking like how WWE does, where there's like one, maybe two cover people per year. So I was thinking for the first year, they're either going to do Chris Jericho because first champion and he's a name people recognize and all that, or the Bucks. Just the Bucks themselves doing a super kick on the cover of a video game.
One thing, though, that needs to happen, the inner sleeve of the video game 1 year has to have Orange Cassidy so you can reverse it and have Orange Cassidy be the cover.
Hell yeah!
That needs to happen.
Or just, like, you know how games do collector's editions?
Yeah.
The Orange Cassidy edition of AEW 2K21.
Damn. You know what I want to see? I want to see... Whenever they get to action figures, I want to see an Orange Cassidy one. I would want one with full posability, the whole 9 yards. But then I would want one with a completely molded torso and hip, and he just has his hands in his pockets.
Or better yet, just like... Because I talked about my fantasy booking is that like they do one multi-pack of a tag team per wave, either a free pack or a 2-pack with more accessories than the free pack gets. Do a free pack of the best friends... And the only accessory they come with is a replaceable torso for Orange Cassidy that has the molten arms in the pockets.
Yes. That'd be, like, that's just such a thing that you have to have with Orange Cassidy. Oh, man. There's so many cool things you could do with AEW and figures.
It's got a lot of potential right now, and it's capitalizing on it quite well.
But that's fantasy marketing.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't really get into that. But this was a year of goddamn motherfucking wrestling.
Certainly was.
So, you have any fond memories you want to mention?
Yeah. So this is a thing I thought of that we should count down what our freaking top 10 wrestling moments or just general things of the year were. Because we don't really have time to go like matches, promos, this person, that person, turns, whatnot. So what I thought would be the best thing to do is we each do our 10 wrestling things of the year and then a wrestler of the year, and maybe we can also have honorable mentions in there. I wrote down some honorable mentions because I have to premeditate this stuff. Chris, I think you're just flying by the seat of your pants, aren't you?
My pants always have propellers.
Fantastic. So I think it would be wise if we did top moments of the year, honorable mentions, and then wrestler of the year. Sound good?
Yeah.
All right. My number 10 thing of the year is the Dark Order's repackaging. I mean, we've talked about it a lot on this episode already, but just like, man, really smart of them after the Dark Order didn't get over in their first couple appearances to just say, okay, we're taking them back to the drawing board and we're still gonna make them look and generally operate the same, but we're gonna give them a different gimmick. They're not just a bunch of cartoony, spooky perverts. They're much more insidious than that, and there's an element of social commentary to them, and I like that a whole lot. What's your number 10?
I think it was the moment when Orange Cassidy first came out for the Casino Battle Royale.
That was pretty good.
Mainly due to the fact that it really ushered in a new kind of understanding between wrestling and wrestling fan of like, yeah, we can accept goofy shit as long as given the proper context, and really kind of cements how we're gonna view and understand kayfabe going into the future, because people have been like digging Orange Cassidy on the independent scene, but now that he's a major presence, it kind of really solidified, yeah, no, this is how we're gonna do kayfabe from now on. Some people are not gonna like it. A lot of people are gonna understand and get it, and we're gonna move on.
Yeah, this is just what we're doing. Get on board or stand and gawk.
Because, yeah, we're just going to do goofy shit every once in a while. Yeah, it's going to be goofy. We understand this. That's kind of the point. But also, they also know it's goofy, and they're not going to respond in kind. You know? Like, Tommy Dreamer didn't fucking react to his kicks, but Jungle Boy did, because Jungle Boy's a goofy dude in character. Mm-hmm. So, it makes sense.
It's the beginning. Say it's not on my list, and now that you've explained it that way, because I've never really thought about it that way. I just thought about it as a really enjoyable series of spots. But it really did set the groundwork for some real rules of writing and wrestling that we've gotten at. So it's kind of historically important in that way.
It's the new kayfabe.
At least it will be.
It's the new kayfabe of like, we can buy into this because this is the world we're living in. So yeah, Orange Cassidy making his mainstream debut, that and also the amount of love he's gotten on Dynamite just really shows that people can rearrange how we view kayfabe.
That's pretty nice. All right, well, my number 9 is going to be NWA Power. I couldn't pick any one star or moment or even like a feud or something from Power. Just in general, I really like that Power exists because it's bringing the NWA back into the collective consciousness. It's a very interesting, different style of wrestling compared to everything else we have right now. It's kind of nostalgia, and it's also kind of a way for those of us who weren't alive back then to get to experience that style of wrestling. And it's also just such an interesting thing with some, which is exposing me to new stars who I either had never heard of or just hadn't really got to go and look at yet. Like Colt Cabana, Nick Aldis, Tim Storm, Thunder Rosa, the list goes on. There's just so much interesting stuff in Power that I had to make it itself a thing on my list. I couldn't pick an element from it to put in the list.
That's very fair. I definitely think wrestling is a better environment for having NWA Power existing than it is not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's important to kind of have that, for lack of a better way of describing it, a historical context show of like, no, this is how shit was done.
Yeah.
Just because you do it like this now doesn't mean that this doesn't have value.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
Go ahead.
Just because you can record music digitally doesn't mean recording on magnetic tape doesn't have value anymore, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's like we still have grandpas out there shooting on anamorphic film. It's cool. And we still have people out there making classic 80s style wrestling shows. It's cool. And it doesn't take away from those old things. It doesn't put them on a pedestal either, but it just says, hey, this style is still here. It's still out there. It's important. And, hey, maybe go watch some Smoky Mountain tapes. But also look at these cool new people.
Yeah.
So what's your number 9?
My number 9 is actually a lack of a moment, if you can understand it. It's the fact that AEW really pushed Nyla Rose as a big, major deal, as a very prominent, important member of the AEW women's roster, and they never once mentioned that she was transgender. She mentioned it later on because that's who she is, and she wanted to make note of that. But, I never once heard Brandy or Cody or Tony Khan or anybody say, hey, look, we have a transgendered wrestler. Aren't we so cool? It's like, no, She's just a wrestler. And that kind of understanding of the environment, understanding of the fact that, yeah, no, our audience is smart enough that, like, they can just deal. They're good.
Mm-hmm.
We're all mature enough.
And it also shows a level of cleverness on their part, marketing-wise, because WWE, when they want to get that good PR, will not shut up about how historic and amazing and great their women's division is. And isn't it so wonderful that Stephanie McMahon invented women's wrestling, guys? But then you have AEW going like, yeah, we've got this cool big hoss lady we're pushing. She's also transgender. It's not a big deal. We don't need to say it. She'll say it. We don't need to say it because it's not important. She's in the women's division. She's a women's wrestler. We don't need to bring up the fact that at one point in her life, she was technically considered a man.
Other people, yeah. And I think that kind of like, they didn't need to mention that. And they didn't. Mm-hmm. Wow, it felt refreshing. It felt new. It felt like, shit, she's a person and she's like cool. She's not just a label that they're gonna trounce out to fucking make everybody feel better for watching their product. And it's like
it's the exact opposite of what so many other wrestling companies are doing and what so many media companies in general are doing. Like, I don't want to get into a huge rant right now, but Red Letter Media invented this term to describe some stuff that Disney has done with Star Wars and superheroes in the last couple of years during their Rise of Skywalker review. Passive progressive of being like, hey, here's this thing. It's cool. Isn't it great that we're doing this thing with women or with black people or whatever, but you're not really putting your whole heart in. You're only doing it for the money.
Just real quick, I'd argue against the comics and Star Wars doing that. That feels much more of like the media, like commentating on it or doing it. I would say Disney does do that with their animated reboots. Specifically, they did it with Beauty and the Beast.
I think okay, we can talk about this when we talk about Star Wars later tonight. Tune into Analytical Fanboys in a couple weeks from now to hear us talk about the Rise of Skywalker. My number 8.
Yeah. I was about to transition to that, but go.
My number 8 is The Fiend's debut.
Ooh.
Because, man, oh man, has Bray Wyatt had an amazing year. And I'll talk about this more a little later on, but that couple weeks after SummerSlam, where they had what was a pretty good card. And I heard there were some pretty great matches on there. But all anyone was talking about, and all I watched, was The Fiend come out and squash Finn fucking Balor. Such a great introduction to a new character, a repackaged character, and making us get, like, this is important, this is cool, it's gonna work this time. Like, I felt watching that the kind of way people talk about The Undertaker's debut at Survivor Series. It was weird, it was different, I didn't quite get it, but it had this sort of alluring tinge to it.
Oh yeah. No, I think we're going to look at the career of Bray Wyatt, and it's going to be very easily pre and post Fiend.
Mm-hmm.
It's very much going to be that. Before it was pre and post Bray Wyatt because he used to be Husky Harris. Nah, it's pre and post Fiend. The Fiend The Fiend, very much like Orange Cassidy and how Prince Devitt did in New Japan, is going to redefine very much a variety of elements of professional wrestling.
Definitely.
But anything more to say to that, or should I go on to my number 7?
It's your number 8, but yes.
No, my number 8. Fuck you. Number 8. My number 8. My number 8 is NXT going on to USA.
Ooh, okay, that's interesting.
Because we both really enjoy NXT. Everybody who watches wrestling goes like, yeah, no, NXT's is a fucking banger, man. So many great personalities, so many great talent, and it's just kind of been like, but it's ours. You don't get it. Ha ha ha. But now anybody and everybody can watch NXT. Anybody can just get into it. It's just there.
Oh my god, dude. We democratized NXT.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm very much one of those kind of people who honestly loves it when small band he really enjoys gets really big. Because it's like, fuck yeah, you worked hard for that. I'm proud of you. And it's like, I look at NXT as it is right now, and I see Johnny and I see Adam Cole fucking busting their asses, making it must-see TV. And while, yeah, I watch AEW live, I always go back and watch NXT as much as I can. And like, yeah, I missed these couple weeks, and I feel bad about it. I'm going to go back and watch it. And that's the kind of the thing. It's like NXT went from, oh, it's a thing that you can watch if you really want to it's a thing you really want to watch. And it was always like that for a lot of people, but now everybody can kind of get that feeling, and it feels like the next step for what, honestly, NXT has always been aiming for. It was, we were making the main event talents, and now it's, no, we are the main event talent now.
Mm-hmm. And I've been asked for years and years, when are you coming up to the main roster? And now I finally get to say, AJ Styles, welcome to the main roster.
And that's kind of the sentiment. And I love that idea that NXT is now just kind of this third brand, separate brand, kind of similar to WWE, but so wholly unique that it doesn't even register as WWE. You got to kind of think of it as a weird little offshoot thing. And it's
their fucking, oh God, what's the word? What's the name?
It's Vertigo.
That's it. That's what I was going to say. Yes, it's their Vertigo.
It's Vertigo to Raw's DC.
Mm-hmm. Or, it's even, to make a more modern equivalent, it's DC Black Label.
It's very much like that. It's something weird, off-center, but it's connected enough that you can go like, yeah, it's connected. And it's solid. And I genuinely think in the long run, NXT going on to USA Network is going to be super beneficial to the product.
It's a really exciting time to be a wrestling fan, despite a certain older gentleman trying to squash his competition as hard as he can.
So what's your 7?
My number 7 is from the first episode of AEW Dynamite. It's Riho's match becoming the champion.
Oh.
I don't tend to rewatch matches a whole lot. This is one I've actually rewatched a couple times, just because I really, really like Riho. Like, she's not waifu tier, but she's fucking good. And I just like that she's taken what would be considered a weakness or made into a joke in most other promotions, and she's made it into her greatest strength. I love watching her wriggle out of holds or like squeeze under people trying to dive onto her. It's so interesting to get to see her work that angle, and this is where I was introduced to it. And it was a lovely moment of seeing that upset of the hometown girl who is still the heel not getting the title. And even though it would have been a great historical moment, and we all thought it was coming, of they're giving their first women's title reign to the transgender member of the roster, them doing that upset and giving it to Riho and making Riho into such a believable babyface worked so well. And it's taken me from being where normally I would just kind of be like, whatever, if she was absent for a couple weeks. With her having been gone for so long now, I'm really kind of upset. I miss Riho. I want to see more Riho. Give me more Riho. I understand she's got commitments to fulfill with Stardom, but like, could you not at least give me some video packages of her running around Japan being like, hey, let me introduce you to my homeland. Here's what me being the first AEW Women's Champion means to my friends and family. Like, do more stuff with Riho. She's a great asset for the company. And this match really proved that to me.
Yeah. Like, I definitely want to see more Riho, and it is a shame that she hasn't had a ton of things, but she's coming back. She's making her swing back round.
Yeah, she'll be on the next show, so I'm excited to be that. And she was on it was either Dark or Being the Elite this week. She made a little cameo.
It was Being the Elite.
Yeah, because Hangman's running around trying to find Kenny, and he just like grabs her by the shoulder and is like, "Hey, are you Kenny? I need to talk to Kenny. I'm drunk." And she just goes, "Watashi wa nani Kenny desu." It's adorable.
I'm gonna be a little bit more off center and off the wall. because it's more of like a series of little moments that kind of add up to one big moment.
Okay.
It's people realizing that Impact will never die.
That's your number 7?
Genuinely, yeah, because it's fucking fascinating to me that right now, I haven't watched it. I don't watch Impact really. But seeing the people who are working there, seeing the people who are genuinely invested in it, seeing the wrestlers who are genuinely invested in making this thing work, making this thing succeed, is genuinely heartwarming in a way. Like, when you hear Seth Rollins go, like, I work day in, day out for Raw, it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. With AEW, it's a little bit more like, yeah, I can get it. You're trying to get it off, and that's cool. But they usually play it for heat. They use MJF and Jericho saying that, and it's like, oh yeah, you kind of are meant to go like, fuck that. But you see wrestlers in Impact going like, no, fuck this. I want to make Impact fucking great. I fucking believe that shit. And it's fascinating and wonderful to me that this little thing, this company went through so much bullshit through the years. And it's just going, and the people who are there are going like, you know what? Fuck this. Let's make this good. This is our thing. This is our place. Fuck anybody who says any different. Impact, tough to kill.
Nice. I basically feel the same way. I don't have anything to add to that conversation of just like, yeah, Impact seems like it's a really interesting place. I need to eventually get around to watching some more. I want to watch the Callahan Blanchard thing once that's finished. That seems like an interesting.
Yeah, I think wrestling, like with NWA, wrestling is better for having impact than not.
Yeah, I mean, where else would WWE get all their major NXT stars?
Because you're not getting them from AEW anytime soon.
Yeah. So my number 6 is the return of Tommaso Ciampa. Because like there's repackagings and then there's repackagings, because like I've already talked about 2, The Fiend and the Dark Order, 2 very, very like good, solid, traditional sort of repackaging. Tommaso's was just so subtle, but it worked so well, because you took probably one of the most hated men in professional wrestling, at least talking kayfabe wise, and you made him into almost a folk hero, where like this guy put his fucking life on the line, going in and doing so much work for what was all of our favorite storyline of last year. And then he got the finale taken away from him, and it was so sad. But we got to find out about Tommaso Ciampa, the man. We got to see him as a family man. We got to see that he really fucking cares about his wife and daughter. And it recently came out that, like, yeah, he's probably never going to the main roster again. Because he did have that little tag team run with Johnny earlier this year. But that's it. He's pretty close to the end of his career because of that neck injury. And he's planning to finish it out in NXT and then be a trainer for WWE for probably the rest of his life. And the way they've incorporated that into his in-ring persona of just like giving him little touches here and there of like making it more clear how much he treats Goldie like a child, making him more willing to take up allies and comrades, giving him a new finisher that's named after his daughter. It's been such a great little change, and it's made me buy into Tommaso Ciampa, not so much as a babyface, but in the same way we all buy into like Stone Cold and Becky Lynch as like, you're not necessarily a good person, but you're a badass, and I want to cheer for you because of that. Like, you've done bad things, but there's still reasons to like you and to believe in you, and I want to see you succeed.
Oh yeah, Tommaso Ciampa is just fucking fantastic, and you know damn well Triple H is going to give him a job for life.
Oh yeah, like I would not be surprised if he signs that Kota Ibushi lifetime contract thing.
Yeah, no, that's good, man.
Mm-hmm. So what's your number 6?
The Young Bucks putting Private Party over in the first round of the tag team tournament.
Hell fucking yeah! I can't believe I didn't think of that. That's great.
Because here's the thing, everybody going into AEW was going like, oh, well, I guess we're gonna have a lot of like Cody putting himself over and Kenny putting himself over and the Bucks putting themselves over. Paige is gonna get over. Yeah,
and
their
that
friends
has
are
all been negated and sidestepped.
Yeah, because the first big match the Young Bucks have on Dynamite, they put over the young, fresh, up-and-coming talent, immediately made people fall in love with them.
They did the fucking most traditional, old-school wrestler move you can do, and it was great.
The upset victory of, oh shit, the guys who we thought were going to go all the way to the end didn't. They didn't even make it one step. And that immediately kind of tuned you into just what Dynamite's going to be. It's very much the future of wrestling today. Like, look at all these young, excuse me, look at all this young talent. Look at how much we're putting them over. Look at how strong we're recognize that they are. They're not perfect yet. Yeah, no, Jungle Boy's going to be amazing, but he's still losing right now. It's a nice, perfect balance, and it was all kind of set the tone by that match.
A very astute observation. And also, it was just a fucking amazing match.
Oh yeah, Private Party and Young Bucks can fucking go, and I am so glad Private Party exists in the world. The only shame about that is people were introduced to Street Profits first, so people, I think, first.
You know what? I'm gonna say it. Thank fucking God for AEW coming along, because without it, nobody would have given Private Party a chance. Everybody would have looked at them and said, "You're just a low-rent Street Profits."
Yeah, and that's probably what for a lot of people's first reaction when they saw Private Party start were. It's like, oh, you're just copying the WWE gimmick. And it's like, no, it's a little bit different. The Street Profits are like the neighborhood barbecue, and everybody's invited. Private Party's like, no, bitch, we're invited. You ain't.
Mm-hmm. Also, booze. Lots and lots of actual booze, not happy Jews. I love the Street Profits, but it's silly that WWE censors them like that.
Yep, but it was a fucking fantastic little primer for what AEW is gonna kind of be. So this is your number 5?
Well, I was gonna ask, before we go on to number 5, do you want to do a couple honorable mentions real quick?
Yeah, let's just rapid fire them. We don't need to go in depth. Just mention what they were.
Okay. For me, it's Miz versus Shane, the Cracker Barrel Clash, Keith Lee's comeback, and Shawn Spears' heel turn.
Ooh. Keith Lee's pretty good. Shawn Spears is banging. I think some of mine are the complete and total respect that has been given to Sonny Kiss. Just like, no, Sonny Kiss is a cool dude. Mm-hmm. The litany of brilliant interviews by Chris Van Fleet.
Oh, I didn't even think about Van Vliet. Yeah, he's been an undeniable asset to the community.
I think the Inner Circle taking over being the Elite is one.
Good pick.
It's recent, but it's a good pick. And I think Fight for the Fallen is also just the fact that they wanted one of their first big events they wanted to do was a charity event. I think really set the tone of like, yeah, no, these are going to be people who are trying their best.
Very clean.
I think there's one more. Know what? Fucking Keith Lee just fucking yeeting Adam Cole.
Yes.
And I think there's one we can both agree on is that's Britt Baker, Adam Cole's girlfriend.
Yeah.
That was a fun little 2 weeks of memes.
Mm-hmm. So moving on to my number 5, it's the Jon Moxley interview.
Ooh.
Yeah, because like we can all talk about like how cool it was to see him debut at Double or Nothing. We can all talk about how fucking solid he's been on Dynamite since then. But that interview, man, that is where we really got introduced to his new character, his mindset as a person. Because we all knew Dean Ambrose of the WWE. We all knew that guy. We didn't know the man behind him. We didn't know what his actual thoughts and feelings and the kind of way he approaches the industry was. This gave that to us. This introduced us to this really interesting, very serious, sort of young CM Punk like man who is able to take a step back and go, hey, things aren't working out for me here. This is supposed to be the greatest place on earth. It ain't working out for me. I'm going to be smart and I'm just going to go do something else. And I'm going to go be myself. and getting to see that character and see the kind of not vitriolic but passionate badass motherfucker that is Jon Moxley in that interview was such an experience. Plus, it gave us probably the best wrestling meme of the year. It's such good shit.
Yep. Jon Moxley has to be one of the more interesting examples of this whole big thing right now. It's very interesting.
Mm-hmm. So your number 5?
My number 5, at least I'm pretty sure it was this year. I'm dead certain it was this year. Was genuinely the return of Roman Reigns from cancer.
Yeah, that was this year. He had his cancer came back late last year, and he came back early this year, like just in time for Mania.
Yeah. Genuinely, I think that was like a nice moment because it just immediately, all the venom, all the vitriol people have had for Roman Reigns as a character, yes, as a character, because we all kind of understood, like, yeah, the guy's fine, but like, fuck Roman Reigns. The minute he said, like, yeah, no, I have cancer, everybody was like, oh shit, fuck, we hope you get well. And then he comes back, and you know what? I haven't seen people say a bad thing about the man since, you know? It was like a moment of like,
everybody's gone from fuck this guy to fuck the way they're booking this guy. Like nobody...
and even then, I think that's the general context of how people are talking about WWE from here on out. Like, I haven't once seen, I see people go like, yeah, Seth is kind of a dickhead because of Twitter, but like, I don't ever see people go like, yeah, fuck Seth for this. It's very much, fuck the WWE. Why are they doing this to this man?
It's, the conversation has switched from, I hate this machine and therefore I hate the man that this machine is pushing to me, to these people deserve better than this.
Yeah, and I think Roman Reigns kind of having that health scare and then coming back, everybody just immediately went, you know what? We don't hate this man. We don't hate him. And I think that was just like a nice, wholesome moment for the whole wrestling community to kind of center themselves around us. Like, yeah, no, we want this man to be healthy. We want him to be happy. And I think that's kind of like informed the context for like Jon Moxley leaving WWE. Good. I hope he's happy where he's going. Marty Scurll's in NWA. Oh, cool. I hope he's having a fun time doing the program there. Oh, Seth is trying so hard to put everything on his back and he's buckling under the pressure. Shit, I wish he wouldn't say things like a dickhole, but like it's so much pressure. I don't blame him. Mm-hmm. Like it's really centered the fans into a more empathetic light for all the wrestling. Mm-hmm. And I think that's
except for the few bad apples on Twitter who are making people occasionally go like, yeah, Twitter's a really toxic environment for wrestling fans. No other fandom is like this. I'm like, motherfucker, are you in any other fandoms?
There's
just always a few bad apples.
Twitter's just not a fun place. I always plug my Twitter at the end of these podcasts, but I never fucking...
I still enjoy Twitter, but that's because if anybody pisses me off, I just instantly mute them forever.
That was my number 5. So what's your number 4?
My number 4 is the Rhea Ripley versus Shayna Baszler match that happened last week for all the reasons I already talked about with it.
All right.
It was a great match. I'm so happy that we're done with Shayna's reign, and I'm excited about all the possibilities for the future, and fucking Rhea Ripley is waifu tier. I've said it once already in one of my own videos. I'll say it again here. I want Rhea Ripley to step on my face. What's your number 4?
My number 4 is the return of Prince Devitt.
I should have called that.
Just seeing Finn Balor be that fucking badass again, it's just like, mwah, fucking... That was a kiss on his abs because they're fucking brilliant.
He does have very lovely abs.
Yep. Abs that would make a straight man go by.
No way, dude. All of Finn Balor's fans are gay. Haven't you heard, bro? You gotta be fucking gay to like that Finn Balor dude, bro.
Fucking... Why the fuck are you referencing Russo?
Because anytime I can reference Russo is a fun time for me. Because Russo's a shithead.
But yeah, number 4, Finn Balor returning back to his badass roots. I have a feeling Triple H would have wanted him to do like a year ago.
My number 3 is Cody versus Dustin.
Ooh.
This was a lot of people's match of the year. For me, it's definitely my feud of the year. It's the last thing on here that is an actual storyline as far as like the feud, and it's the last program that's on here, I'll say. And it's just such a good, classically booked, solid match with a lot of intricate little elements in there that can only happen in wrestling. That can only specifically happen in this fucking timeline of wrestling that we're living. Just so wonderful. We got two of the best promos of the year out of it. An amazing match. This program, this match, got people chanting the name Dusty in 2019. What more can I say? Fantastic.
Oh, this is one of the... That's a match that should go down for teachers to go to students and go, this is how you do fucking psychology. It was fantastic and amazing and wonderful, and it really just set up so much shit going forward into AEW. So what is this, 4 or 3?
This is your third.
This is my third. Okay, number 3 was that brief period of time from when they announced AEW to when it was Double or Nothing, when they just said, hey, all these great, amazing independent wrestlers that you've been following for years, Christopher Daniels, Kazarian, Scorpio Sky, Chuck T, Trent Beretta, all these guys that you love and respect and want them to have their day in the sun, well, baby, here's the sunlight. We're signing them. They are getting the just due and respects that they deserve. And yeah, I mean, finally giving respect to people who have been doing this and making a name for themselves and being an important part of this world for years, and finally just going like, hey,
something just fell off of one of my shelves.
I didn't say that. But here's a paycheck, just do it for a lot more people. It just feels like, all right, cool. We're finally in an era where people don't have to fucking break their backs all the time to fucking get a good break and to have to work 6 days a week. They can do what they love, how they love it. That's about it.
Brandon Cutler getting signed, man. What a moment.
Yeah, that was a fucking fantastic bit. So number 2, what do you do?
It's Io Shirai's heel turn.
Ooh.
Fucking probably the best women's wrestling thing of the year for me. I really wanted her to become champion out of this. It didn't happen, but there's still time for her to become champion, just in a different way. And like, it's clear that this was kind of muddied by Kairi getting called up to the main roster, but I feel like they still pulled it off really well, and it's such a great repackaging, and such an interesting different thing to do with a Joshi, because whenever we bring Joshis over now, their faces, and look at them, aren't they so cute? Look at these cool, intricate, fancy outfits they're wearing, and oh, don't you love them? And Io started that way, but then her friend left, and she was still fighting for the title. She was getting more and more frustrated. Finally, when this random white lady who tried to help her out got in her way, she said, you know what, fuck this. I'm gonna go get my leather and my spandex, and I'm going to be the bitchy biker chick at the back of the bar. And everything's been great since. That's pretty much all I got.
Yeah. It's good. It's good. It's solid. I'm trying to figure out what my number 2 is. Because, like I say, I go in here guns a-blazing. I don't have a list. I feel like I've done an okay job so far.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. We haven't doubled up on anything, really.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to avoid doubling up on anything you say. Because I can respond quickly. You know what? My sister just came home. That's what happened.
Great, we both got noises now.
Yeah! Oh, man. I definitely know it's an AEW match. I'm just trying to figure out which one it is. Because I know which one my number 1 is. But, like, I definitely feel like, you know what? Honestly, you know what? First double up. Cody and Dustin.
Hey! It's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good one. We already talked a little bit about it, so what's your number 1?
My number 1 wrestling thing moment happening of the year is no one's surprise, Cody's undesirable to undeniable promo. Not that feud, just that one promo. I was so fucking hot on this feud. This has been the year of Cody Rhodes for me. And just following him from All Out to where he's at now running AEW, and all the stuff they've done with his character has been so amazing. But I think the one moment that stands out to me more than any other one is him in that ring calling Chris Jericho a stupid dick, pointing out all the bullshit he's said and all the illogical mud he's tried to sling, and at one point just slipping up, losing his cool, and almost starting to cry as he's talking about all the people in his family this is about, and about his journey as a wrestler, about going from undesirable to ungoddamn deniable. In that moment when he chokes up, I wouldn't say I'm an easy crier or a hard crier. I'm a moderate crier. But I never teared up at a wrestling moment before. In that moment, I was right there with Cody. I had tears in my eyes, and I was so hot and so ready for him to become champion. And of course, that's not what happened, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that moment was fucking amazing, and it connected with me in a way that no other moment this year did. And that's why Cody's undesirable to undeniable promo is my number one wrestling thing of the year.
All right. Well, somewhat related, my favorite moment, top one, Cody versus Jericho, the match.
Wow.
Here's the thing. It was brilliant psychologically, brilliant in work and what they were trying to accomplish. Yeah, it wasn't big and flippy, but like they're not big flippy dudes.
And it did a great job of subverting our expectations too, because everybody was like, oh, there's a panel of judges for if it goes to 60 minutes. See you in an hour. And then it didn't go to an hour.
It set up more of the world building for AEW. Okay, big title matches are going to have judges. Okay, that's a thing. There's going to hour-long thing, cornermen, the whole 9 yards. That's going to be how big title matches are going to be decided. But it also did some other things. It really showed Jericho as a important threat in the locker room. It showed MJF showing his colors at the end of the day. It showed that Cody Rhodes, despite being the big executive vice president, is still an underdog in some respects.
It showed the big hurt Jake Hagar ain't nothing to be fucked with.
It showcased what honestly is what AEW is. Like, yeah, they've been showing what bits and pieces of what they are, but in that moment, they showed what they are. It's not New Japan, hard-hitting, fast strikes, that kind of stuff. It isn't WWE with cartoon and over-the-topness and anything like that. It isn't Impact with its stuff. It isn't Ring of Honor with its indie style. It isn't NWA with a throwback. It
is its own thing.
And that's when it finally showed people, this is what we are. We are legit. We are serious. We are taking this seriously. But yes, it's still wrestling. Yeah, our cornermen are gonna be weird, loud, and abrasive. Yeah, there's gonna be ref distraction. Yeah, there's gonna be blood, whether accidental or on purpose. Yes, there's going to be angles, but we're going to take those angles seriously, and we're going to have a match seriously. And it was a damn good match in and of itself.
All right.
So Jericho, Cody, number one.
Definitely. And all that leaves is our personal wrestlers of the year. And I've known what mine is going to be for about 2 weeks now. I'm guessing you decided yours a little earlier in the night.
Yeah.
But instead of revealing them and talking about them one by one, because I don't know if people are going to expect what mine is, I think it would be fun if we just each said ours on the count of 3.
All right.
Okay. 1, 2, 3. Bray Wyatt.
Ooh.
You said Ortiz, correct?
Yep.
Ooh.
He's just gotten into my heart, man. He is one of those people that I cannot wait to see what they do next.
Very, very nice. And Bray Wyatt I picked just because I've gone from who's this weirdo? Oh, he's teaming with Matt. That's neat. To this is legitimately the most interesting storytelling and the most like revolutionary and different storytelling in wrestling right now. And also, when you think about it, because this is Wrestler of the Year, it's not who did I enjoy the most this year. It's not who are we the most interested in at the end of this year. It's who has been most consistently good this year. And, you know, you can talk about your New Japan guys and the people putting on amazing 5-star matches every week all you want. You can talk about the faces of the companies all you want. Bray Wyatt, whether positively or negatively, has been consistently talked about pretty much all year, because this started at WrestleMania with that, as WrestleTalk called it, Bird Raptor package. And then we got the Abby the Witch. And then Firefly Funhouse started. And then the Fiend's debut. And it's just been snowballing since there, to the point of where Bray Wyatt is now legitimately the most interesting thing on WWE. I wouldn't even say the main roster. I'd say he tops any storyline that's going on NXT right now. There's a lot more good stories on NXT than there is on SmackDown or Raw, but none of them are as good and as consistently interesting as what's going on with Bray Wyatt.
I can definitely agree with that. To me, I'm kind of putting this as like, who did I personally enjoy the most? Who did I connect to the most? Who do I think has the most potential? Who showed the most effective showing of themselves? Not necessarily.
I mean, I could have said Cody or Rhea, but honestly, that's too predictable.
Yeah. To me, Ortiz just showed how good he is in the ring by himself. That's evident itself. But he showed his potential as a character. He showed more. He immediately became one of the most talked about things about a stable involving Jake Hagar, Chris Jericho, and Sammy Guevara. Like, he's immediately one of the more interesting people in the group. And he shows so much potential, not just going further into being a heel for the group, but also a solo run, a tag team babyface run, like babyface in general. There's a seed there, and I am really excited to see where it's going to go.
Yeah. Bangarang.
You said my catchphrase.
Oh, I broke the first rule of YouTubing. I stole someone's catchphrase. I can hear the fucking Gestapo coming for me now. We better end the episode.
Are you the irate gamer?
I suppose I could be.
All right, tell the people where they can find your
I'm the Vacuuminator. I do toy reviews and occasional other stuff on my channel. You can find me at youtube.com/thevacuuminator. I've got quite the interesting slate of stuff coming up. I'm currently going through a series of GoBot reviews, and I just did my top 10 things I'm looking forward to from the toy industry in the next decade, and I'm about to put out my top 10 toy finds of the year, so you'll want to check that out. But if you just want to connect with me, you just want to know what's going on in my life because you enjoy hearing me talk on this podcast, hey, I'm on the social media at the Vacuuminator on Twitter and Instagram.
Alrighty. My name is Chris Boingo Writer Gaston, and I do video editorials. You can find me on YouTube at Boingo Writer. You can find me on Twitter at Boingo_Writer and on Instagram at Boingo_Writer. And you can join my Discord server. A link to that is in the description. But this has been Modular Media Wrestling Podcast, the last MMWP for the year of 2019, and the last MMWP for the decade of the 2010s. Like, subscribe to this channel. And
do the YouTube things. You know what the U's are.
See you in a year.
See you in a decade.
Decado.
Decado! That's a great way to end a wrestling podcast.